What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys checking in. We in here. You're in the Raider War Room. My guys Severe and Chris are going to be with us in just a few minutes. Severe will probably pop in here in the next 20 minutes or so. Chris might join us just a little bit later, but hey, appreciate everybody rocking on this Sunday. I'm actually watching this New England Chargers game. Looks like New England just kicked a field goal. Let me know if you have any bets on the game. I like to do some sports bets. Most of you guys know that rock with me on my channel. Sometimes I'll rock out some sports bets, and I got the under at 46.5 on this Chargers New England game, man. Let me know if you guys have any bets on the game, but appreciate you guys popping in here on a Sunday. We're going to go over a ton of stuff. Again, once my guys Severe as well as Chris get up in here, they're going to give just their takes on all these topics, but we're going to talk about the big game that went down, Indiana versus Oregon. We're going to talk about the quarterback play. We're going to talk about Fernando Mendoza as well as Deontay Moore, so we're going to break that thing down. I know a lot of times you guys have kind of asked the question on who do you prefer, Deontay Moore, Fernando Mendoza. I think a lot of people obviously are kind of leaning that Fernando Mendoza. I think Deontay Moore. We're gonna do a deep dive into it once my guys get on here and join us. But for myself, a lot of times when you guys would ask me who do I prefer, my answer was I don't know yet. I gotta do my homework, and I basically spent the last 2.5, 3 days doing nothing but homework on Fernando Mendoza, and I finally kind of got my answer, and I'll definitely break that down for you guys. I'm going to give you just a full-blown kind of assessment on my end as to who I think Fernando Mendoza might be going into the NFL. So definitely wait for that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but we're also going to talk about a lot of the head coaches. The head coaches that were revealed earlier today that have confirmed interviews. I think we've stacked up now, I want to say it's 4 or 5 more names that are officially coming in to interview for a head coaching position. So we're definitely going to tap in with that. But we're first going to talk about the NFL a little bit. Obviously, a bunch of games happening yesterday. Games happened today, as well as a game currently on right now. And we're going to look at just what the update bracket looks like. Now, I want to get your feedback. Who do you think is going to win that Super Bowl? Who do you think is going to win the matchups that we now are going to go on next weekend? So we'll definitely tap in that as well. Appreciate everybody rocking. Again, my guy Severe, he's going to be with me shortly, as well as Chris. He's going to pop in here a little bit later on. We're going to have a little bit of fun, but I appreciate everybody rocking the Raider War Room on Sunday. If you guys don't know, I'm 805 Raider. My channel is Real Talk Raider Nation. You got the Severe Raider. Make sure you guys, if you're there, hit that like button, double tap that screen. Do me a favor. Let me know if you're viewing on the vertical or the horizontal. StreamYard is doing something a little bit different to where you can stream from both of them. I try to just go from the vertical, but for some reason it's showing me the horizontal as well. Let me know what you're viewing on if you are reviewing on the horizontal. But I'm gonna get up to the chat here in just a second. But again, also if you're viewing on Chris's Protect the Shield podcast, his channel, double tap that screen. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that sub button. We do a sub-only chat to show our appreciation to a lot of our subscribers. So if you want to get included in the chat as we kind of start to dive into this thing, definitely hit that sub button, get included. But let's say what's up to the chat while everybody's kind of rocking in here. Raider News Central. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with me. Where's the flag? Appreciate you popping in with us. Also appreciate you being a member. All 3 of our channels, we also have memberships as well. So one way to support the channel, become a member. I did a members only live a couple weeks ago. I might start doing more of those, but at the same time, we're going to do a lot of breakdown of free agents as well as college prospects. I'm already starting to clip up the Fernando Mendoza game clips. All right, so we're going to break down the game of Fernando Mendoza kind of later in the offseason before the draft obviously hits. And so if you want to kind of throw out your suggestions, and we'll kind of put those at the top of the list, become a member to any one of our channels and just throw that suggestion out there. I'll start clipping them up, and we'll definitely break down some college prospects along with some free agent prospects as well. Obviously, free agency, is going to hit. We definitely want to see how free agency rolls out first before kind of the draft. And so it's going to be fun. Definitely tap in with that. But where's the flag? Appreciate you popping in here. Dominique in the building as well. What's going on? What up, Jason? What's happening, man? Appreciate you popping in. Jesus, what's going on? Go after Matt LaFleur if he's fired. Look, I know a lot of people have kind of thrown that name out there. Depending on what happens in this playoff game, we're going to talk about just some of the games that have gone down, obviously today as well as yesterday. But it would be very interesting if you let Matt LaFleur go, right? I mean, given the fact that he's made the playoffs, I think, back-to-back years now. And the thing is if you let him go, If you move on from him, then you have to be able to get another head coach in that building that's going to basically repeat what he's done, is get that team to the playoffs year one. Because that, in my opinion, I think that would be the expectation, right? I'd bring up the Rich Bisaccia example, but I think that's very, very different from what this is. But if you were to move on from a head coach that got you to the playoffs, it's like I would assume that your expectation of the next head coach is to get you to the playoffs or further that first year. And that's so hard to do. That is so hard to come by. And so I'd be really curious. If they let him go. And then the question is Jesus and chat, let me know. If they did let Matt LaFleur go, then who would be a good replacement to get them to the playoffs year one? Obviously, you have some hot names out there, the Clint Kubiaks. You got guys, I know Mike LaFleur. That'd be weird. That'd be weird as hell. If you let go of Matt LaFleur, then you bring in Mike LaFleur. Other offensive, like Stefanski. Stefanski could be a guy that if you are really high on him, two-time coach of the year. I'm not a big fan of him right away after being fired from his first stint as the head football coach of the Cleveland Browns. But if you're really high on him, you think he could be the guy to turn this program around, or at least just get it to where you want to be, even a deeper run in the playoffs. Maybe Stefanski you have your eye on. But let me know, guys, if the Green Bay Packers were to move on from Matt LaFleur, who do you think would be a guy next up? There's a lot of coaches' names floating out there. What up, Leo? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here. Myra in the building. Philly had one job. Philly did have one job. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about next weekend's matchups and kind of get you guys feedback on that. But just as a reminder, we are going to be out there. We're kind of setting the groundwork. We're setting the plans. If you guys are going to be out there in Pittsburgh, let us know. Myself, Severe, as well as Chris, let us know, because we're going to plan to be out there in Pittsburgh for the draft. Right? The hope is that this is the last time in decades that we'll ever be close or have the number one overall pick in the draft. But obviously we have it this year. And you know what? We're like, let's do it. Let's get out there and let's rock out with the Raider fan base. And so let us know if you're going to be out there in Pittsburgh. Again, we're setting the plans out. We're setting the groundwork to get out there. Let us know if you're going to be out there in Pittsburgh. These whiners pukes in the Bay areas. It woke him up. It woke him up for sure. Leo, Oakland fans really hate San Francisco. Yes. I mean, look, I guess the only thing I would say is fans that were from the Bay Area, from Oakland, right, that Northern California, I think you could really understand and feel just the disdain and hatred for one another because you live in it. I wonder if you talk to Raider fans that are in, Ohio, right? Raider fans that here are in the Vegas area. I wonder if they have that same hatred, because I understand, trust me, my entire family, except for one of my brothers. I got two brothers and a sister. One of them, he is a Ravens fan, but the rest of the entire family, they are 49ers fans. And so I understand it, because my aunts and uncles, they're not a big fan of talking about how much of them are Raider fans. So I understand the rival for sure. Jesus Dante Moore has bust written all over him. I wouldn't put that out there. I wouldn't, in my opinion, I wouldn't put bust out there. We're gonna tap into the matchup. We're gonna talk about Oregon versus Indiana. We're gonna talk about Deontay Moore and Fernando Mendoza. But I wouldn't put bust, because I think the expectation of Dante Moore is that he still has to learn. Right? You without question would have to sit him for a year at least if he were to declare for the NFL. And he's got a lot of growing to do because he is young. And so, and I think that showed a little bit in Oregon, but I definitely have a different take of that game and just how just Oregon as a team showed up for that game. So, but I don't know if I would say, just based on that one performance against Indiana, that all of a sudden you kind of put the bust word out there. I don't know if I would do that. And so, Franklin Skinner, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking it with me. RIP Kobe, Laker in the building. What's going on? Bushido Brown, good seeing you. Appreciate you popping up in here. Let's see. Jesus, you're saying Dante Moore slightly better vision than Bryce Young. You're saying that's his comp. That's not that bad of a comp, to be honest with you. Again, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. The only thing that I wish I would have seen a little bit more out of Dante Moore yesterday was his ability to kind of escape the pocket, right? Create a little bit with his legs. I would have liked to see that, but we'll do a deep dive in just a minute. But I want to say what's up to the rest of the chat. Appreciate everybody rocking up in here again. Severe will be here in just a minute. Chris will be rocking with us in just a few moments, a little bit later today. But we're watching this Patriot game and Chargers game at the same time. Cheeto LaFleur is next. Matt LaFleur, man, he's in the building. We're going to talk about some of the head coaches that have confirmed interviews, so we'll definitely tap into that. Jason, I'm not going to discount Dante Moore over this game. He still has a lot of upside, but Fernando just seems to have that championship grit. We're going to get into it, and I agree. I am not just that game was bad, I think, as a whole for the Oregon team. Right? They got beaten basically every facet of the football game. And so I'm not putting that loss purely on Dante Moore. And so I'm not judging him as to what he might look like in the pros just based on that game. So I'm with you on that. In a bush, 23. Bears for the W. Yes, they did pull off. We're going to talk about that in just a second. RIP Kobe, Dante's going to be great, but he needs to stay in school, and I don't think he comes out. Yeah, we're definitely waiting to see that. What up, Bueno? What's going on, brother? Myra Hellafix several games didn't hit the over by 1 point. I know I did actually have a bet on the Jags. That didn't cover. It was Jags, I believe, -1. But I did hit the 49er game. I took the 49ers plus 5.5. I got the over 46.5 on this Chargers New England game. That looks pretty good, but you never know what's going to happen. And so we'll see how it rocks out. Kevin Lark, what's going on, man? Let's see. Oh, shit. Did I see it? Is LS up in here? I don't know if I saw LS up in here, man. I apologize if I missed you. I'm scrolling and talking at the same time. I'm trying to multitask. Kevin Lark, you got you're saying Mendoza? Yeah, LS, man, if you up in here, man, I appreciate you rocking with me. Let's see. Okay, Myra, you got horizontal. Okay, perfect. Or no, you're horizontal. My bad. Got to be in the vertical. That's okay. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. You're saying vertical? Okay. All right. I guess it's showing on both. I want to stay on the vertical because here, the one thing that I'm not a big fan of with when it comes to the vertical and the horizontal is that it splits up the chat. I think it's a little bit better when the chat's all in one, so everybody can kind of chop it up and say what's up to everybody. Oh shoot, I can put the chat up on the screen too. So again, this is kind of how I like to do it, but again, StreamYard just throws it out there like that. So all right, horizontal. Got it. Okay, cool. Appreciate it, guys. You guys are throwing that out there. Appreciate it. LS, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here. Dominic in the building as well. Good seeing everybody, man. All right, we're going to get into this. Chill Ray, what's happening? I'm seeing the vertical, but honestly, I prefer the horizontal. I know. The vertical, we stay in the vertical and just kind of get people used to it because when we break down the game film, that's what we have to stay in. So I think a lot of people do prefer the horizontal. So I'm with you. I get it. Super in the building. What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with there. Rocking with us. Leo, you're saying, I guess I got to get used to Fernando Mania. I think that's going to be the overall consensus, and we're going to dive into it for sure. But I think that's it makes the most sense right now. But I definitely have my strengths and weaknesses of Fernando. I'd also have some question marks as well, and I'm definitely going to do a deep dive into it during this one. Super. What's going on, man? Fernando Mendoza's ceiling is Matt Ryan. His floor is Sam Bradford. All right, Yvette, what's going on? I see your super chat down below. I'm going to say what's up to everybody else coming in, and then I'm going to get to your super chat. I appreciate you rocking with me. Alex in the building. What's going on, man? Leo Caleb balled out yesterday. Yes, he did. One thing that is really good, right? It's one of the questions is when you look at the number one overall draft pick, and this is just kind of I want to plant this seed a little bit because it's like when we talk about Genty, right? We break down the game film of Genty, and we have some concerns of Genty as he progresses through. Again, he's a rookie; he can grow on a lot of things that we pointed out. That's fine, but he will always have to live up to that number 6 overall pick and live up to that standard. In my opinion, I think if you're picked number 6, then you want to be one of the best to ever wear that jersey, those colors, right? To basically wear the shield. Now, if we pick somebody at number 1 overall, you're hoping that that person is going to go down as not one of a, but hopefully the best person to ever play that position. And then if it's the quarterback position, you're hoping that that person leads you to multiple Super Bowls. And so that's kind of the expectation. And so when we talk about Fernando, and again, I think the overall consensus is that it's probably 99% he's going to be the pick. I do think we need to know who the head coach is going to be, because the head coach, it's probably 95% right now. But if that head coach ends up being like a defensive-minded head coach, it might stay at 95. But if you go offensive-minded head coach, then I think at that point you're probably moving to 99.9%. Fernando might be that pick. That's just my assumption. And so, but if you pick Fernando at number 1, you hope that what you see in college translates to the NFL enough to where he is going to win you multiple Super Bowls. That's just that's what you draft him for at number 1 overall. So I want to plant that seed, because that's how we're going to evaluate him moving forward. And so hopefully you guys rock out with that. Yeah, shout out, guys. Make sure you guys tap in with Leo Cheeto Linus. He's going to be rocking the jerseys, man. All your apparel needs, everything, go over to Cheeto Linus for sure. What up, Loon? What's going on, brother? Guys, make sure you guys go hit up Loon, man. I think he goes live every weekday. Monday through Thursday, I think. Definitely go check him out. What up, Lou? Appreciate you rocking with me. Mopar in the building. What's going on, man? How about coaching candidates? We're going to tap into that in just a second. Again, my guys, Severe, Chris, they're going to be with me here very shortly. What up, DK? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking up in here with me. Let's see. All right. I just want to make sure I kind of say what's up. Red Duck in the building. Okay, can you help me come out? Jesus, man. See, this is why I got to screen. I try to say what's up to everybody. Now I got to start screening the goddamn comments. All because of you. Red Duck, Jesus Christ. Where's the flag? Seems like we're interviewing everyone under the sun. I like it. Yes, it's great they're doing their due diligence. I'm with you. It's good to see. Alfredo, what's going on? Appreciate you popping up in here. Again, guys, if you can, do me a favor, double tap that screen if you can. Where's the flag? Throwing Mike McCarthy out there. We're definitely throwing a lot of names out there. Yvette, you're saying you're starting all over again? Am I? Are you throwing that at me? I don't know. Milk, Abizi, what's going on? Appreciate you rocking in here. I see Donnie in here as well. They just saw Big Dom getting his kneecap split with the pipe blood with everywhere. All right. I don't know what's going on with that one. All right. What's going on, Jason? All right. Let's see. Just want to make sure I kind of get to everybody rocking in. Houston, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking up in here, man. Fernando did his thing. Severe gets sick yet? Hey, a lot of it is just kind of assessment, right? And so, trust me, Severe's going to be here with us very shortly. Yvette, what do you think about that you QB coach Webb from the Broncos? All right, what do I think about the QB Webb from the Broncos? Look, I think it's good to. I honestly, I think it's intel. I think it's purely intel. You're interviewing him as a head coach, but I do think that it's more about just really getting your feet wet with the interview process with some of these coaches that can interview right now. And the kid's young. I don't think there's any chance in the world he's going to get the head coaching job here, or really any head coaching job. I know that there's a lot of vacancies, but I just don't see him getting a head coaching job because he's just so young. He's not ready yet. I think he only has like 3 years of experience coaching in the NFL. Now he's got a lot of experience, a lot of ties to some really good names, but I think that it's good that he's in the cycle of interviews because of his history and just the names that are tied to him. But man, I do not want him as our head coach. I think we need someone that is seasoned, someone that has a lot of experience in the NFL on the coaching side, not just the playing side. I want a lot of coaching experience that they can bring to this job. And so I think it's good. Interview him, get some intel on our divisional opponent. But at the end of the day, I do not want to see him as our head coach at all. He wouldn't even be, top 8 on the list moving forward. So that's just my opinion. Life is complex. What's going on? We got to drop Mendoza. Hey, the Mendoza hype train has started. We're gonna do a deep dive on that as well. Let's see. I just want to make sure I say what's up. Chico in the building as well. Screw Philly. Bang bang. Okay, here we go. No Kittle, and that was wild. We're gonna get into it. Charles, what's going on, man? SoCal's not really tripping on San Francisco like that. What's going on? Appreciate you. Appreciate you rocking up in here. I want to say what's up to everybody. I know we're getting some Niner Raider shit going back and forth. SoCal forever. Said hello from Jeff from Pittsburgh. Playoff football has been great so far. It has. We're going to dive into it in just a second. LS Dante definitely isn't a bust. He's ahead of where Mendoza was at the same age, and that is a good way to put it, because obviously Dante Moore is so much younger as it relates to just college years than Fernando Mendoza. But yes, I do not take what he did in this game just purely as an overall assessment of what Dante Moore can be. So, but Ellis, man, I appreciate you popping up in here. Let's see. DK Raiders, if Moore comes out in the next year's class, where would you rank him? Look, what's so hard about assessing quarterbacks in the following years is there's always players that pop out of nowhere. Like, let's go back to the beginning of this college season, and the quarterbacks are high on everybody's radar, whether it's Lenore Sellers, Archie Manning. You will have quarterbacks that will pop up out of nowhere. A lot of people I think their eye was on Fernando Mendoza, but Fernando Mendoza, I don't think was the number one top quarterback on everybody's list going into the season. And so I don't know where I could rank him. If you rank him with the existing quarterbacks that will be coming available possibly in next year's draft, he's got to be top 3, I would think. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I don't do a massive deep dive into college quarterbacks for necessarily next season. I don't start doing my deep dive on college prospects until basically our season's done. And that's why I can finally give you guys kind of my full take on Fernando Mendoza on today's live. And so we're going to tap into that. But it's really hard to figure out where he's going to be. If Mendoza is Mendoza a lock at the number 1 pick? I don't know if you could ever say it's a lock, but I would say it's 95%. If I'm a betting man, I'd probably put a bet on, then yes, it's most likely going to happen. Chris had to go to the liquor store for a bottle of fried chicken. Hey, maybe. What up, Bart? Bart in the building. Been a while. What's going on, man? I appreciate you rocking with me. Oregon's defense didn't help. Bueno, yes, it didn't. I'm telling you, I think it was just basically belt to ass from every aspect of the game, Indiana versus Oregon. I think Indiana just took it to them from start to finish, and we'll definitely tap into it. Shakira Giddens, what's going on? Appreciate you rocking up in here. Yvette, okay, let's go. Hey, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you rocking with me. It's always good seeing you in the building. Appreciate you. Let's see. Judo Joe, very excited about for a player like Mendoza in our building. It looks like it might be going that way. What up, Roth? See what's going on, man. Hey, appreciate you rocking. Everybody, guys, make sure you guys go hit up Roth's channel as well. 805, what's going on? Never been ready for free agency. Free agency is going to be fun to watch, and that's why let me give you a little bit of something as it relates to like mock drafts. All right, I know a lot of people want to dive into mock drafts. They want to get into mock drafts. They want to have fun with it, and it's fun. I said this last year when I started doing lives, and we did mock drafts. We only did 3 mock drafts last year in the war room, and because the thing is, if you do 20, 30, 40 mock drafts, then you could always go back and go, oh, see, I picked that guy, or see, I got that guy. Well, of course, you did 40 mock drafts. So at some point, you got somebody, right? So we do 3 mock drafts because it really makes it as realistic as possible. Who are you really targeting? Who do you really like? And then you can, like, I screenshotted all of our mock drafts last year, all right, between myself, Severe, and Chris. And we're going to kind of recap those kind of later as we go on. But the one thing to really keep in mind, and again, I said this last year, and I've known this with these mock draft simulators for as long as I've been kind of just messing with them, is that these simulators give you kind of a false sense of where these players should be picked. And I think that's what's really bad about the mock draft simulators is they'll have a guy that's supposed to be picked in the second, or they're saying is projected in the second round, but then he's not picked until the 5th. Or you got a guy that's always around in the 5th round, but all of a sudden he gets picked in the 2nd. Because obviously, one, the mock draft simulators, it's just an algorithm. It's just the way that their system works. But 2, after that 1st round, everything gets messed up. Everything gets shifted around because there's always that random team that picks that random player, right? Like us picking Cleveland Farrell at 4, or Tyree Wilson at 7, right? You got, or Damon Arnett in the first round. You got those teams that screw everything up. And so I think the mock drafts, they're fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to do. But at the same time, it gives you kind of a false sense of where these guys actually are sitting on these teams' draft boards. So just keep that in mind. I want to throw that out there. I mentioned that at the beginning of mock draft season last year. Just keep that in mind. And so, all right, let's see. What up, Angel? What's going on in here? Almond Glaze, what's going on? Hopefully we don't have to get have any mid-October mock drafts. I know. Hopefully we can stop all that. LS, man, has there ever been more overrated quarterback than Justin Herbert? I know. I'm watching it. I got it 6-3. New England. Let's just keep it. Let me just hit that under. We'll have some fun. Bart, you're saying Mendoza 100%. I am vertical. All right. Hey, appreciate it. My take, Raiders, who or what position would you handle first in free agency? I first would want to go after offensive line. I want to go after offensive line. I want to do it right this time. The last 2 seasons, I've wanted to prioritize. The last 2 free agencies, I've wanted to prioritize the offensive line, and we just haven't done it. Yes, we've brought guys in 2 years ago, and I hate that I have to say his name again. It was Cody Whitehair. Could not stand it. I didn't make any sense. No, I take that back. It didn't make any sense if he was brought in as a starter. It made sense because we had Luke Getsy as an offensive coordinator. You want to bring in maybe some players on that offensive line that potentially could help teach the rest of the offensive unit your scheme. So you want that extra coach, but have him as a backup, not a starter. That was crazy. Then last year was Alice Kappa. Statistically the worst starting guard in the National Football League the year prior, and I knew we broke his game film down on this channel, and we knew he was going to be absolute garbage, and here we sit. So with that being said, offensive line, without question, but do it correctly. Do it in the right way this time. So what up, Troy? How do we know if new coach wants Mendoza? And that's why I think you kind of put that percentage out there. I do think it's probably 95% we're going with Mendoza, but and that'll creep up if you go offensive minded, but if you go defensive minded, maybe it still sits around 95, because still, even if you go defensive minded head coach, we still have an issue at the quarterback position. You got to start the process of prepping the next guy, whether you move on from Geno or not. And that could be a whole separate conversation. It would be a really good idea to start prepping the next guy. The only thing that if we go defensive-minded head coach, then you might run into that idea of trading back. Stockpile a crap ton of picks and really start to prep for the next years. And so, again, I still think that the percentage, no matter what direction we go with head coach, I still think it's very high we get a quarterback. But I agree with you. Life is complex. Will the Raiders finally get out of rebuild mode? Let's go. We're going to be in rebuild mode here for at least the next couple of years, in my opinion. The thing is hopefully we just get out of it fairly quickly if we could get things right. Justin Herbert, just another Phillip Rivers. Fouts. Angel, 805, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm from the Ventura County as well. Actually, I coach football in Ventura County. Shout out to all my people back in Ventura County. I appreciate you popping up in here. Let's see, Dominic, like how many candidates did we interview last year before we hired Pete? I don't know. I don't remember the number, to be honest. I think that it might have been around like 8, maybe. So Kevin Larker already set Mendoza the playbook. Hey, they're going crazy. It's definitely going crazy. Raider, Ribs, I like Mendoza, but I don't know. We're going to talk about it. Bob the Surfer, what's going on, brother? Ashton broke some sort of rookie record of ours behind a historical bad offensive line. To me, he had an awesome rookie season. Yeah. Doing that behind a bad offensive line was good. He did a really good job of being able to kind of take on that workload. And so I'm not going to take anything away from him. Behind a bad offensive line, historically bad offensive line, I think he did a decent job he did a good job for what he had in front of him. So I'm not going to take anything away from him. I do think that he did break I think it's the all-purpose yards for a rookie. I think that's what it was. LS, all I've heard for 5 years is how good Herbert's going to be when XYZ happens, and I'm still waiting for it to happen. I know. We'll see. We'll see how this game turns out at tail end. But I know still 3-6. We'll see how it works. Jason, I just feel an offensive coach is more organized. Defensive-minded coaches are more of motivators. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Mike Rand doesn't see a coach or top free agents coming if we don't get Mendoza. Well, that's the hard part. Is the draft happens after like that first real big run of free agency, right? So it's like that's really tough, right? It's tough to really see just what we're going to end up doing, or how free agents are really going to work out. And so I think what is going to be the biggest deciding factor is who our head coach is. If we can't get one of the top 3 head coaches in the cycle, it's going to, I think, detour a lot of these top tier free agents to potentially come here. So I think number 1 is without question, you get the top name free head coach you possibly. I mean, if Clint Kubiak is your guy, then get him. Do everything you possibly can to get him. And so for me, I just think that's definitely what we need to lock in first. Severe, I see you, man. In the back, I'm going to bring you in just a second. I was listening to USC documentary, and they said that their goal was always to get a coach right when he was about to start winning a lot. And I think that there's a science behind that. Signetti. Okay, I'm going to say something with Signetti. Let me bring Severe in real quick. Let me make sure I get this right. Bang. Severe, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. And Ellis, man, I see your super chat down there. I'm going to get to it in just a second, man. I appreciate it. Guys, wherever you're at, hit that double tap. Severe's channel, my channel, Real Talk Raider Nation. I'm 805 Raider. You got Chris Pictional Podcast. Going to try to pop in here just a little bit later. Guys, hit that sub button. Hit that like button. We definitely appreciate it. Where's the flag is just talking about Signetti. I have my take on Signetti, but Severe, man, what's your thoughts on potentially Signetti if he was even a possibility? I know he signed that massive contract. So I think that it's like 99.9% he's staying there. But what's your thoughts on Signetti possibly being a coach in the NFL?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how well what he does would translate to the NFL with like grown men. And, obviously he's dealing with players being paid, but he searches to find a certain type of player that fits certain criteria with a certain mentality. And I don't know if we have the patience to let him go through that. We tried to do that with Josh McDaniels. It's almost like a Patriot way type of deal where, we didn't give McDaniels enough time to kind of find that type of person where, it's all ball and nothing else. And then another thing is that, we look at the job he's doing in college, and he's doing a fantastic job. I don't want to take anything away from him. Taking Indiana from where they were 2 years ago when he took over to where they are now is an incredible thing. But one of the things, somebody pointed out was that I think the average age of the players on his team is 23 and a half years old or something like that.
23 and 25-year-old players. And that plays a massive role.
So that plays a massive role, right? And so, like, he's like a perfect example is like the average age of the Chicago Bears is 25. So he has grown men playing against like teenagers and stuff. So but it's 3-dimensional chess. He fits guys that find his criteria. He finds guys that fit his criteria that are more mature and experienced. He's doing a lot of good work in the transfer portal, and then that combined with his coaching, like it's paying dividends. But like he won't be able to have that same type of advantage in the NFL where talent, for overall for the most part, it's more evenly based.
Yeah, and there's no question. No one can deny the success that Signetti's kind of had, right? We're going to talk about maybe a little bit of the national championship game coming up. But the way Signetti's been able to turn around Indiana is extremely impressive. It's like the Miami head coach. The Miami head coach has done a really good job just bringing back Miami to relevance, which is very, very impressive. But I think it's also fully understanding the difference between the college game and the pro game, the NFL game, how you communicate to players, how you're able to develop players, and how you manage players. It's very different. And just because you do it good in college does not mean it translates to the NFL. And every single time, for the most part, I correct me if I'm wrong, Severe, man, you got the memory like crazy, is I just don't remember a time when a head coach from college goes directly to be a head coach in the NFL and it works right away.
Right away, I can't think of it working. I mean, it depends on what you mean by right away, and depends on what you like mean by because Pete Carroll, I think, was probably the most recent one, or right, I guess Harbaugh is the most recent one. Harbaugh is the
So
most recent one.
it can happen, but in my opinion, when it comes to a college head football coach, I would much rather see them come to the NFL level as a coordinator. Be
Yeah,
a coordinator, get your feet wet, be a coordinator for 3 years, understand the ins and outs of the NFL before you just jump right into it. Because it's going to be such a massive culture shock on how you have developed and created a college football team, and then to just dive in to figure out the basically having the massive learning curve of now trying to figure out the NFL, and you're trying to develop a program at the same time. I just don't think that translates well at all. And so, but I also I don't know if Signetti is necessarily I think wasn't he originally a special teams guy?
he was a wide receivers coach under Nick Saban. I think he's been a QB coach as well, and I think he's been the OC. So and then he was a head coach, James Madison before he moved over to Indiana. So he has some experience. I don't think he's ever been in the NFL. And that's the difference between like Harbaugh. Harbaugh was in the NFL. He played in the NFL for a while. And then, I think he started his coaching career, ironically enough, with the Raiders as I think a quality control offensive guy. And then he went and did his college journey. So he had experience with the NFL. He was familiar with the NFL. Like Signetti, as far as I know, is not familiar at all with the NFL. And the last time a guy came to the NFL from college who had no familiarity with it at all and had success, I think it would probably be Jimmy Johnson. You have to go back that far for a
Yeah.
guy to do that because even Saban didn't have any success in the NFL, but even Saban, was Bill Belichick's defensive coordinator when Belichick was with the Browns rather. So even he had some familiarity with it. You think about the other guy, Steve Spurrier tried to bring his fun and gun to the NFL, and that didn't last long at all. And like Matt Rule, he failed miserably when he was with the Panthers. Like it hasn't really worked outside of Pete Carroll, who was originally an NFL coach, and then Jim Harbaugh, who obviously had years of NFL experience and was familiar with the landscape of the NFL.
Yeah. And so it's like, I know a lot of people were like, hey, Mendoza, Signetti, let's bring them both. I don't want a head coach that has a massive learning curve with a rookie quarterback. I mean, that pairing just doesn't make any sense to me. And so I want a very seasoned coach in the NFL to help a rookie kind of build this thing the right way. LS man throwing a super chat out there. I appreciate it. If we end up drafting Mendoza, I'm definitely moving up from a third round pick to go after Elijah Surratt. I know his number one receiver over there. That back shoulder connection they have is fire. It is. That's one thing that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks, but yes, that back shoulder fade is pretty nasty. I'm not going to lie. And again, I as soon as that game was done, Oregon and Indiana, I shot out Severe and Chris and I were kind of messaging, and I said, "All right, time to grab a few drinks. I'm gonna be up till 3 o'clock in the morning the next couple nights. I'm gonna start breaking down game film. I'm gonna start doing my homework on Fernando, and I think I did it. I think I'm pretty locked in on what my opinion of Fernando Mendoza is, and we're going to tap into that in just a moment. Where's the flag? And LS, man, I appreciate you throwing super chat out there. You said, "Where's the flag?" It's James Franklin's fault. Aller came back. It's not Aller. It's not Aller being a dumbass. I think you guys are going back about Drew Aller. I like Drew Aller. I thought he had to go back one more year to really get better experience. I hated the offensive coordinator at Penn State. I hated it. I thought he was absolute trash. I thought he was trying to do it was the vibe of he was trying to outsmart everybody by the all. I mean, there was times where they would shift like 2 or 3 times in one play, and then all of a sudden you have Drew Aller line up at receiver and Tyler Warren in the backfield, and then Tyler Warren would throw the football, and I'm sitting there going, "It's 3rd and 2. Just run the goddamn ball. You have a really good run game." It's like
Yeah.
I think he tried to outcoach himself, and I think that's what that's what hurt Drew Aller at times. So just my take. So Let's see. All right, Mopar, what's going on? Appreciate everybody rocking with me. In the Raider War Room, man, double tap that screen. We need Max as a leader for the defense. We'll see how Max definitely rolls.
Yeah, I'm all down for trading Max at this point.
I want to know who the head coach is. I want to know what their strategy is. I'd be okay if we did trade Max, because if you're going to be in rebuild mode, then don't half-ass it. Go in rebuild mode. So depending on who the head coach is and the strategy with that number 1 overall pick, then I mean we'll see just kind of how Max works out.
Yeah.
But so where you threw that from Clark, Chucky come home DC to help in some quarterback fashion. All right, Severe, what you got?
I'm good. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Yeah, the Bears O-line is rebuilt. I mean, but the Bears already have. But people forget, because people think like the Bears are some overnight success story. Oh man, they just came out of nowhere. No, it wasn't. The Bears had been building already. The last piece that we're missing was really, the offensive line, which they addressed, a running game, which is why some people had speculated they would trade up for Ashton Genty, and then a head coach to kind of pull everything together, right? But think about the Bears. They had on their team already. They had Rome Odunze, they had Cole Kmet, they had DJ Moore. This last year they added Colston Loveland and added Luther Burden, but they had pieces already. It's just they had to address the offensive line, and then they had to address the running back position, and they did that with DeAndre Swift, who was a cast off from the Detroit Lions, and then Cal Monangai, what was that, the 6th or 7th round pick. So they were smart in their resource allocation. They didn't swing for the fences on a running back early. They're like, you know what? We're going to get another pass catcher. And we see what Colston Loveland did this last game. Like, it was a menace. And nobody can touch him. And then they spent in free agency on offensive linemen. And they had some guys already in the building that just needed to get healthy and needed some better coaching. And they were able to do all of that. So, I mean, it wasn't some overnight thing. They had a lot of pieces in place, including Caleb Williams. They just had a head coach that tied it all together. We're missing a lot of pieces. We don't have a DJ Moore caliber wide receiver or a Roman Dunze caliber wide receiver. We don't have that on our team. So, I mean, there's a lot more work for us to do than it was for the Bears.
Yeah. So, guys, do me a big favor. I'm definitely behind the chat. If you have a comment, question to what we're talking about, hit that hashtag Raiders if you can, because it'll catch my eye. We have almost 200 people in the building. What up, Jeff? Do me a favor. Hit that hashtag Raiders if you got a comment to the subject that we're talking about, because it's going to help me kind of get through the chat for sure.
I'd rather the Patriots in there than the Chargers, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I understand Jeff's route being in New England.
Well, who would be Linderbaum? Would that be a Linderbaum? Would be the guy?
I think a lot of people are talking about Linderbaum, but I think we got to figure out what the Ravens are going to do.
Yeah, with the head coach, because the head coach, if a new head coach comes in and says, especially if it's a defensive guy, they're going to probably want to be able to run the ball, and they're going to do it. Derrick Henry is great at running the ball between the tackles, so you don't want to take away one of your better interior offensive linemen from that run game. So, yeah, we got to kind of see what they want to do there.
So, what I'm going to do real quick is I know a lot of people want to just jump into the college talk. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people going back and forth, the college quarterback talk. So you know what? Maybe we'll touch on some of the head coaches in a second. I had something else pop up that I was going to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the games, but we're gonna hold off on that. Let's talk about the college quarterbacks, the college game that went down, Indiana versus Oregon. Everybody's excited to talk about it. So we're gonna please the chat, guys. Just listen, just hear that. We're gonna please the chat. And we're going to talk about the quarterbacks. Before we do, Golden Boy, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you rocking up in here. You got Michael in the building as well. Herman, Monster, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with us. You got Bart in the building as well, man. Saying what's up to Severe. LS, you love Signetti, but I don't think his personality and style would translate to the NFL. It takes a very special character to transition from coaching college kids to grown men. Yeah, 100% agree. What up, Jack? What's going on, man? Good seeing you.
Oh
What
yeah,
up?
is this JJ
Oh, my
Pegues?
bad, man. Go for
Is this Pegues right here? Is this a police Pegues
it.
bet?
That is the bet. That is the bet. Well, I'll see you in Bakersfield. Jack, I'll see you in Bakersfield. We'll have fun. All right, we're just gonna say what's up to let's see. What up, Money Check? I see you in here. Appreciate you rocking with us. Alfredo's in the building. Raider Hawaii. What's going on, man? I do see a super chat down there. I'm gonna get to it. Cool Cat, what's going on, man? Let's see. Just want to say what's up to everybody in the building, guys. Make sure you guys go hit up Jeff too. Hit up his channel, for sure. They go live a lot, man. Definitely go say what's up to him. LS, I've been on the trade max bandwagon for a minute now.
Same here.
Let's see. All right, hold up. I just want to make sure I kind of get to as much. Houston in the building. Appreciate you throwing the super chat as well, man. Hold up. Okay, we're gonna talk about these. What up, MEs? Or let's talk about these quarterbacks.
I think we got a question, and we could kick it off with this.
Well, hold on, let me do this one. Hold on, okay, we'll go back to that one. All right, because we're gonna talk quarterbacks. John throwing the super chat out there. He's 805 and Severe. What free agent running backs or draft guys would you love to have help Genty? I don't know draft wise because I have to do more homework. I appreciate the super chat again. Like I know everybody's asked about quarterbacks, and for me, I can't give you my true assessment on the quarterback until I actually do my homework. Now, when it comes to running backs, there are going to be some free agent running backs that I'll bring in. I'd like to bring in a decent free agent running back. Again, I liked Rico Dowdle last year to just have some competition behind Genty. The one point that I wanted to bring up, and I've brought it up before, is even if you get Genty at 6 and he's going to take the bulk of the carries, I'm still a big advocate of making sure you have a running back that's going to be able to kind of keep Genty fresh. If you think Genty's going to be that good, then bring somebody in that's going to spell him for at least 6 to 7 carries a game, at least. Because if you continue to run Genty 27 to 30 times a game for 18 games, and he's also going to get catches, right? So if he touches the ball 30 to 33 times a game for 18 games, by year 4, you're going to run him into the ground. And statistically, look at all the running backs around the league. They get hurt. And a lot of those running backs that get hurt, they're in rotational backfields. So there's just a high percentage chance that Genty might get banged up. And if you want to feed him the rock 30 times a game, 30 plus times a game for 18 games, by year 4, you're going to beat that kid up for sure. And so get a running back that if you get somebody in there and they don't fall off production-wise too much, but can spell him, 7 times a game at least, then that's what I'd want to do. So I am without question looking at the running back free agency and the running backs to be like, who can we get in here? Because if Genty does get hurt, because statistically running backs do, then we don't fall off too much in the run game. So, Severe, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of studying on the running backs thus far. I mean, the guy I like, I don't have no idea where he'll go. But as like a change of pace guy, is this guy at Arizona State, Raleek Brown. But like I said, I don't know where. I haven't done enough studying so far to figure out where any of these guys will go. But yeah, I mean, like we have to Genty took like 90% or more than 90% of the carries for us as a team. Now we were dead last in attempts, but he took all of the attempts essentially that we had. So, and one thing we have to note is that early in the year that there was a lot of consternation and a lot of hemming and hawing and huffing and puffing about us not giving him the ball 20 times a game. But if you look at it, of all the rookie running backs that were supposed to be the lead backs for their team, Ashton Genty is the only one that stayed healthy for the entire 17-game season. And I think a lot of that had to do with, Chip Kelly and Brennan Carroll not running him into the ground early on into the season and keeping them relatively fresh throughout the entire year. So, a lot of people were upset about that, or they want to, be mad about his carries. He's 7th in the league in carries, first of all. So he got plenty of opportunities. And, they didn't just pound him or run him into the ground needlessly, especially early in the year. And I think that's going to pay dividends going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. But John, I appreciate you throwing a super chat out there, man. Tragedy in the building. We're going to get to Severe. There's definitely going to bring up a comment. We're going to get to that here in just a second. Loon, if you move Max, look to the Browns for 3 firsts. That'd be wild for them to give that up, but we'll see. We'll see. Leo, man, I appreciate you being a member on Severe's channel. Man, 17 months, man. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you rocking, guys. Make sure you guys go hit up
Chris's.
Is it Chris's? Okay, Chris's.
I just started my membership.
I guess, yeah, that's right, huh? Shit, yeah, 17 months would have been a while ago. You're right. Let's see. Okay, let me just kind of keep working down. Leo, you got a super chat as well. They say that's why we need what the Bears did. They passed on Bryce Young, CJ Stroud trade back, build a team, get Caleb, and upgrade at head coach. Man, shout out to you, Leo, throwing a super chat on Severe's channel. Severe, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not opposed to trading back. Especially if you're not sold on either one of these guys at quarterback, you gotta trade back. You would be. I know it's easy to succumb to fan pressure and to the outside noise and everybody screaming about a quarterback. But if you are not sold on either one of these guys being your franchise guy, then you have to trade back. You have to trade back. So, and it remains to be seen what they'll think, what the organization would think, what Tom Brady and Spytech would think, and whatever head coach they bring in, what his opinion on these quarterbacks are. But, my assumption is that they will take a quarterback number 1 overall and they will take Mendoza. But, if they're not sold on him and they're not sold on Dante Moore or whatever other quarterback is coming out in this draft class, then they have to trade back. Like, that's the only option.
Yeah, and also I had Javonte Williams. I actually really liked Javonte Williams out of I think it was North Carolina.
He was with Denver. Now, who was he with last year? Was he Denver last year, right?
Denver, and then he went to the Cowboys. And Denver didn't seem to work out in Denver, which was a little surprising. But I really liked Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams took Rico Dowdle's spots.
He did. And look, goes to a good offensive line. Rico Dowdle looked good against behind a good offensive line, and then you got Javonte Williams that looks good behind an offensive line. You know what I'm saying? And so build that offensive line. That's the key to just a success for a running back. John, you're saying Jadarian Price in later rounds, man. I'm gonna jot that down.
Where'd you go? If you can let us know.
Yeah, hold up. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna screenshot it. Cool. I'll definitely do some research.
The Raiders take LS's advice and trade down to 6 and draft Jeremiah Love.
God damn it, don't even put that out there.
Notre Dame. That's a Notre Dame kid. I think I remember him.
Oh, is it? Right.
Yeah, Jadarian Price, Notre Dame kid. He's the change. He's the backup to. He's nice too though. He's the backup to Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
What did Jeff agree with me on? It should be everything, but what did he?
You could read it.
Oh yeah, I agree with Severe on trading back. Also, I've been saying this for a few weeks now. If we ended up with number 1,
everything.
Yeah.
All right, LS, you're saying Raleek Brown is a projected 3rd round at this stage. All right, so
see, that's too high at this point. Since we drafted Jizzy, if we're drafting a lead back, okay, 3rd round is a sweet spot. That's nice. But for a change of pace back, you can't be anything higher than like a 5th to me, unless you're just really desperate for a change of pace guy. But we got Genty at 6. I wouldn't take a guy higher than the low 4th, 5th at this point, depending on how many picks we have in those rounds. I know we have 10, but I don't know how they're spread out right now.
Yeah. So again, guys, do me a massive favor. Hit the hashtag Raiders if you have a comment, question, what we're talking about. We'll get into the college quarterback talk. All right. Dante Moore. We got Fernando Mendoza, Severe. I know there's a if you want to go back to it, there was something that you want to put up.
Yeah.
And so you can definitely pull that up there. Look, obviously, everyone wants to talk about Fernando Mendoza. Let's talk about Moore first. Let's talk about Moore first in his performance. Severe, I'll let you go first. I'm just gonna start out with basically like what I saw out of Dante Moore against Illinois. I don't put that on Dante Moore. I think Illinois was just, Indiana. I think Indiana was just the better overall, most prepared team that day. And yeah, right. I wish I would have seen a little bit more of Dante Moore, just his ability to kind of create and kind of move out the pocket and stuff like that. But I think it was just kind of belt to ass across the board. Indiana just took it to Oregon, and they were just a better prepared, just better team at every position group. So that's my initial assessment of the game. And Severe, you got the floor.
Yeah, so it's a very loaded question. Severe, after watching Moore throw a pick six the first play, losing twice to the same team in the most important game of his life, do you still believe he is or will be better than Mendoza? Yeah, I still think he's a better prospect than Mendoza. Not gonna lie to you. I think he has a better arm. I think he's more accurate. I think obviously that first throw was an errant throw. But I saw Mendoza make some errant throws as well. I also think that Indiana is just top to bottom a much better team. And I've been saying this. They're a better team. They're a more mature team. Dante Moore also was missing his starting right tackle and starting left tackle. Also was down to his fifth string running back at that point. I think they were missing another starting receiver as well. So not only were they down some guys, but they were facing a team that I already think was better than them, period. And I think Cignetti is a better coach than Dan Lanning. So I think that, Fernando Mendoza went into that game and had all of the advantages. And to his credit, he took advantage of it. I mean, like, that's what you want to see a guy do. When he has the advantages, you take advantage of them. People want to criticize. Dante Moore had 3 turnovers in that game. Obviously, the first play, pick six. He had 2 fumbles. One of them was an RPO. It wasn't really his fault. Then there's another fumble that, was his fault. But what people want to gloss over is that Fernando Mendoza also fumbled the ball twice. The difference is his teammates recovered those fumbles. So that's why we're not talking about Fernando Mendoza with multiple turnovers, and we're talking about Dante Moore, who did have multiple turnovers. That being said, I've been saying for a while, I'm comfortable taking Mendoza. I think he's a very good prospect. I think that, I think he can play in the NFL. And if you want a quarterback and you need a quarterback and you have a regime that believes in Fernando Mendoza, I'm all for taking him. But I still think that Dante Moore is the better prospect.
I think you just, again, the game against Indiana was just it was a hard one to even just try to assess Dante Moore and where he's at, because Indiana was just that much better as a team overall. And so, and Severe, to your point, the limitations that offense had to start. Now, look, that opening interception was not good. I actually was, as I'm watching it, a lot of times what offensive coordinators will like to do with a young quarterback or a quarterback, you're trying to give them some tempo throws. And that out route to the boundary side to a receiver that was already lined up in tight, that has tempo throw written all over it. And whenever you see that, you want to look at the alignment of the corner. The corner was already lined up outside. And so when you see it on TV, as soon as the ball was snapped, I wanted to see that corner basically try to stack that outside, that single receiver, because Dante Moore looked that way right away. But I saw that corner got right into his back pedal, which I was like, holy shit, you throw that ball, it better be on time, it better be perfect. But that ball was behind a little bit. Yeah. It was picked and it was gone. And that was a rough start. And that was, to me, just a tempo throw that the offensive coordinator just tried to throw out there. But again, I'm going to kind of go back to, I haven't done a bunch of research on Dante Moore, but when you look at that game, in my opinion, I can't really just take that's what Dante Moore is. I honestly think Indiana was just that much better of a team that day and so much well prepared at every position group for the most part. But I do think everybody is now, I don't say everybody, but the majority of people, a large percentage of people are now on kind of the Fernando Mendoza train. And we're going to talk about Fernando.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Fernando. And we're going to kind of, I got my assessment of him. Where's the flag saying if Reloda, ends up at Oregon, Dante Moore might not even win the job next year. Is that the kid that everybody's talking about comparing to like Mahomes?
The kid that does everything like Mahomes. Dante Moore's a better player than Ray. Come on, bro. Don't people are crazy. People are outside of their mind right now. Outside of their mind.
And I think, look, you cannot overlook the fact that like Dante Moore is young, right? He's young and he's got a lot of growing to do.
He turned 20 in May. He turned 20 in May. Like, come on now. So give him another season in college, and we'll just see. We'll see just kind of what he develops into. But right now, again, we're going to talk. We're definitely going to talk Fernando Mendoza.
I know a lot of people are talking trade back. Boy needs to trade back and take Trinidad Chambliss in the third round. If we have a good position next year, we draft another early round quarterback. I'd rather do that with a more loaded class. Trinidad Chambliss, I know a lot of people look. There's a lot to like about the kid, but I think he's young, man. I think he needs one more year, but I know that the NCAA just denied it. I know Ole Miss can they can battle it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, but if he does come out, I don't want to. God, I wouldn't pass up Fernando to take him.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as I think he looks promising, but man, his experience just isn't there. At least at the Division I level. Severe, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they'd have to, if they pass on Fernando Mendoza to draft Trinidad Chambliss, they'd have to like knock both of like whatever picks they trade back for whatever team is moving up for Mendoza. They better knock all those out of the park. They better be like 3 for 3 on those picks and like just lights out instant impact players, because if not, and Mendoza gets the league, and I think Mendoza's going to be a good player in the league. You know, I think his bust potential is very low. Now, how high is the ceiling? That kind of remains to be seen, but I think his bust potential is very low. So he's going to be a good player. So if he goes to another team and starts playing well, oh man, will there be some seats getting warm?
Yeah. John Rodriguez, another super chat, man. I appreciate you. Look at 3 QBs in later rounds: Chambliss, Beck, and Taylor Green.
Taylor Green is not. He needs a lot of development. Chambliss.
Well, I think that's why he's saying in the later rounds. So you could take a flyer on him if he's still around in the late rounds, possibly.
Taylor Green has loads of talent there. Loads of talent. He's big, super athletic, crazy strong arm. But see, when I say somebody has a better arm, people only think about arm strength. They're not thinking about their ability to layer throws, to like float a pass in there, to like throw from different arm angles, like all that different stuff. Like Dante Moore is able to do all of that stuff. There's some guys aren't able to do, like CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud has a good arm, but CJ Stroud, he's not throwing from different arm angles, right? He can't do that. That's a skill he lacks. And think about like arm elasticity. You think about like when and why that matters. So look at the throw that Caleb Williams made last night. Like arm elasticity, like that's what arm elasticity does for you. Being able to throw from different angles comfortably, that's something that Moore has that I don't think any other quarterback in this class really does.
And so we're going to get into the talks. LS, if Dante comes out, I don't think we have the system in place at this stage to ensure his development's correct.
That's a possibility.
But it's all dependent on the head coach, right? If you bring in an offensive-minded head coach, Clint Kubiak, a Matt LaFleur, then maybe you can kind of put that in place and sit him for a year and develop him. I think that could be a decent strategy if you went that route. And so Jeff Chambliss is playing his way to a fringe first, second round.
Some team may do it. I mean, some
people pull a trigger.
Some team may do it.
Yeah, people will pull a trigger without question. Oh, my bad. Did you just put one up?
No, I didn't put one up. Did I?
Okay.
No,
Kevin Lurk more responded well after that first interception.
Yeah, flawless drive down the field with a great throw. Between like 3 defenders, I think. But it was that was all she wrote basically.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about Dante Moore a little bit. All right, guys, remember, do me a favor, hit that hashtag Raiders if you can. It'll definitely help out. And Leo, yes, you're right. He did appeal, right? They denied it. They appealed, but it doesn't. They're just appealing. So I don't think that doesn't guarantee he's able to go back. The NCAA, I think it's still a process. So I don't think it's a given that he's going back because they initially denied it. So unless there's an update that I don't know of. So okay, let's get into the hot topic, guys. Apologize if I'm missing anything. I know, Loon, you got something. Taylor Green was Boise State quarterback when Genty led the running back in the nation for over 600 yards receiving. MGs, what's going on when you're saying, remember how people were so worried about Caleb painting his nails? Yeah, I remember that. All right. Fernando Mendoza, guys. Look, the one thing I want to start with is that there's no perfect prospect. Okay, there's always going to be strengths and weaknesses. There's always going to be pros and cons with any kid coming out of college football. Like, I have to reiterate one more time. Like, out of the past 20 plus Heisman Trophy winners, I think 19 were Heisman Trophy. I lost 25. I think 19 were Heisman Trophy winners, and only 2 have made it to a Super Bowl. Yeah. And so, as much as Fernando Mendoza looks really good, I mean, if you look just strictly off of that Oregon-Indiana game, I mean, he looked as perfect as a quarterback can get. Yeah. And I'm not going to take anything away. But you also have to just know that every prospect isn't perfect. There's going to be strengths and weaknesses. And it went with Genty. As much as Genty had an amazing college senior season, or the last season that he had in college, there's still strengths and weaknesses to his game. And how does that translate to the NFL? So don't just because we say that there might be a weakness, don't take that as we're saying he sucks. Because I know a lot of the fan base likes to just get real emotional about things. And they all of a sudden will be like, oh, wait, you said that he can't make that throw? Oh, are you kidding me? Like, it's just take a step back and just know that every college prospect isn't going to be perfect. And history tells that with how many first-round draft picks don't work out. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about Fernando Mendoza and just what do we like about him? What chat? Let me know what you think his weaknesses are. Hit that hashtag Raider. Let me know if you have any weaknesses in his game. Let me know. Hit that hashtag Raiders. We'll definitely bring it up because I know everybody can talk about his strengths, and he has a lot of strengths. But Severe, man, what's your overall thoughts of Fernando Mendoza? What his gameplay is? How does he translate to the NFL? Give us what your overall thought process is of Mendoza, because I got quite a bit, so I'm going to step aside for a second.
Yeah, man, Mendoza is a very, very good prospect. I mean, he has great size. He has a good arm. It's like people him and haw about his arm. He can make every throw you need an NFL quarterback to be able to make, and like displayed perfectly was on those deep out routes. Those are difficult throws. Those are very difficult throws. And not only did he have the arm strength to make those, but he had the timing and accuracy to hit those throws. And if you can hit those things on time and accurate, it's basically unstoppable. Especially against certain zones. So I think he displayed all of that. I think he is a guy that he obviously has great study habits, super intelligent guy. He's a guy that works really hard. You hear about him since he's already graduated. He spends his time with the VR headset on, like going over the game plan, going against that next opponent. I think he takes the coaching extremely well. You see where he was at with Cal and the kind of numbers he put up there and the number of turnover-worthy plays he had. And, I think he only had like 19 touchdowns this year. He comes to Indiana with a better coach and a better scheme, immediately takes to it, and immediately his production jumps exponentially. So I think that goes to his coachability. So I think like he has a lot of the things that you want. I think some of the problems you see is that, the RPO game. Oh, and nothing. He's very underrated as an athlete. I think he showed that in the past 2 bowl games, but he showed that especially last night. It's not pretty, but it's effective. And if he can hurt you with his legs, so that is something that you have to respect. So I think he brings a lot of elements that you're looking for when it comes to the signal caller of your team. I think one thing you have to worry about is that, first of all, I think Indiana, they're just such a vastly superior team, top to bottom. It's how you look at what he did the last 2 years at Cal, then everything almost changed from this year with Indiana. I think some of that has to do with the talent level he's playing with, the coaching that he gets there, as well as that scheme. They're able to run the ball really, really well. And then, you see against Alabama, like that first drive, it looked kind of sloppy. But then once they were able to establish the run and get the RPO game going, and he's really good at the RPO game. But once he was able to get that going, then like everything changed for him. I think sometimes he likes to stick on his first read for far too long. And does he like effectively scan the field consistently? I don't know. I see a lot of one read throws. And sometimes his ball placement is a little bit off, but when you have guys like Becker, who's I think he's a stud, and then obviously Cooper's a really good player, and Sarai's a really good player as well. And they're guys that if you're wrong, they can make you right. And he'll have that in the NFL sometimes. So I don't want to take anything away from him there. But like there are some throws that he makes that, had it been another wide receiver or not an NFL caliber wide receiver, is it a completion? No, possibly not. Think about the touchdown. Like he had a touchdown last game that was over the middle of the field that was kind of high that Becker came down with. He had one similar to on this game. I forget exactly who it was to, but it was another situation where the ball was high and he had middle of the field open. So he didn't have to throw a high ball, where a guy has to jump and make an acrobatic catch. He could have just let the receiver. There was nobody else over there, and the receiver could have made been a much easier completion and a much easier catch. So I think he had some of those problems, but that's like nitpicking. I think overall he's a very, very good prospect.
Yeah, so some people they're throwing stuff out there, right? Sort of a one read guy, but he's very decisive when he runs. He runs. Jason Mendoza's biggest weakness: internal clock, pocket discipline, and breakdown fairly quickly. Let's see, Coach. You're saying I'm not sure if he has any weaknesses other than coming off like Beaver Cleaver. We're going to get into it. Easy kid, Raiders. Mendoza checks all the elements. Plus, he has it between the ears. High IQ. He will be the last one out of the locker room with Crosby. Okay, yes, but let me know the weaknesses. John, appreciate you, man, with another super chat. Only weakness: looks like a taller, faster Peyton Manning. I don't know if that's a. Yeah. I'll take that weakness.
It's like when you're in a job interview and they're like, "Oh, like what are your weaknesses?" Like, I just care too much, and I just work too hard sometimes. Like is that a weakness?
But I'll take that weakness, John, for sure. Kevin Lurker, ball placement is insane. Yes, okay. I need to see some. There's a lot to like about him, without question, but definitely want to see just some weaknesses. All right, MGs. Mendoza doesn't protect himself while he's running. Needs to learn how to slide. Also, he does need to learn how to slide. His slides are ugly. I'm not gonna lie. Needs to learn how to slide. Also, his O-line is really good, so no adversity, and he seems to try and make Heisman throws every single time. Let's see. Okay. All right. All right. I got quite a bit here. Again, guys, do me a favor. Hit that hashtag Raiders. If you got some feedback on this. So I went back and I watched every game. And the way that I do is I go back and I watch every single throw, every game. You can go to YouTube. You can find there's actually one guy that does literally just all Fernando Mendoza's throws, right? And you gotta at the same time you gotta understand the down and distance, the situation, stuff like that. And so that's definitely what I pay attention to. And so I went back and I watched every single game, every throw. There's without question more pros or more strengths than weaknesses. But I think he also presents a lot of question marks about how does the play that you see on the field, what he does it translate to the NFL? And I'll give you one really quick example before I get into the strengths and weaknesses. The Indiana game. This past Oregon game. He was as perfect as it gets. I think he had 3 incompleted passes. He had 5 touchdowns. But what I started to notice as I'm watching the game is that almost 90% of his throws are one read timing throws. That's what he is. It's a one read timing throw. And I know a lot of people have talked about how he's so good against pressure, against the blitz. The thing is that offensive line does a very good job of picking up the blitz. But he also does a very good job with his pre-snap and post-snap reads that he gets the ball out so quick. And the thing is that when you watch him throughout the entire season, he gets that ball so quick, and it's a one read, whether it's an RPO or it's a very nasty, trust me, it's a very nasty back shoulder fade. That throw to Surratt, that's been working all season long. But if you look at 90% of his throws, it's a one read timing route. And the question that I have is that when you watch him get moved off his spot, when you watch him have to go through the progressions, if you watch his eyes, he drops his eyes very quickly when he moves off his spot. He drops his eyes and he wants to run. In addition to that, so I struggle with just what is his pocket presence going to look like when he does have pressure? That's one question mark that I do have with him. Can he continue to keep his eyes downfield? How is his accuracy as he goes through his progression? It was one of my biggest knocks on Shedeur Sanders last year. Is when you watch Shedeur Sanders, because he wanted to be such an athlete, he allowed his arm to do the work when he'd get to his third and fourth progression and his accuracy drops. You kind of see that with Fernando as he goes through his progression. And so, but again, you don't see a lot of it because 90% of his throws are literally one read timing throws. And they're so good at it. Now, his accuracy on that is on point. His ball placement is on point. What, like, you look at every throw he had in that Oregon game, that throw that was for a touchdown on the out route in the I guess front part of the end zone. That was on point. That was a beautiful throw. The back shoulder throws, the deep balls that he was throwing, just placing them beautifully. So when he can set his feet, when he's confident in the throw he's going to make, it is as beautiful as you can see. But the times that he actually gets moved off of his spot and actually has to work, I have question marks on how good he actually is. Because his mobility, I think he's good enough to get third downs. If it's third and short, I think he can take off, he can run, he can get those. But I think his mobility is more like a Jared Goff. I'm seeing people start to compare him to kind of the Drake May, right? I've seen people kind of compare him to that, and I think that mobility is kind of right. Like, could he get something on third and short? I think so. But he's not going to be a guy that's just going to rip off, 15, 20 yarders. And when you see him have to move out of the pocket, his accuracy tends to drop pretty substantially. Also, when he has to actually go through his progressions and he's got to hit any type of dig routes, any type of inside slants that's not an RPO. If it's an RPO, he's on it. I mean, his accuracy is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But when it's not an RPO and he's trying to hit those inside routes, it's like 50-50 if his accuracy is on point. But again, there's not a lot of it because 90% of his throws are just one read timing throws. And he's got them without question. And so, again, some of the strengths, great ball placement, very good arm strength. The velocity that he has on the football is very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can throw from one hash to the other hash and you hit an out route, you hit a comeback route, I mean, that is it's beautiful to watch him do it. You can tell he plays the position with a lot of confidence, a lot of control. I think because of the confidence and control that he has of the offense, I think that it has also a lot to do with that offensive coordinator. I think the trust that he has in all the weapons across the board, I think that plays a role. So I don't want to take anything away from him, but I think he plays so comfortably within this system. And the offensive coordinator does a hell of a job of dialing shit up for him. You could see it. The amount of times that receivers, even down the middle, are wide open, that's just the OC dialing up just beautiful route concepts and plays. Let's see. He's got an amazing quick release. He's not only does he have a quick release in the screen game, when you got the tunnels, when you have the bubble screens, the tunnel screens with the receivers, not only does he have an extremely good quick release, but the ball placement. You want to be able to put that ball on the downfield shoulder so they catch and they're getting upfield quick. Yeah. Every time I see him do it, I'd say 95% of the time that ball is on point. And so it's amazing. Obviously, Severe, you talked about the RPO game. He's great with the RPO game. You can't knock him on that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You can tell he's extremely coachable. I think that's probably one of the most enticing things about him is just how coachable he is, how he's able to kind of adapt to that offense. He's extremely intelligent. He's got great character. He's going to be great for Vegas. You know he ain't going to be out there in the nightlife, so he's great for Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got zero off-field issues.
Exactly. Social media, I think just LinkedIn and something else.
So great off-field issues. And so the thing is, like, there's a lot to like about him. There's a lot to like about him. Again, sorry, I'm just kind of going through my notes. But at the same time, I think you got to like take what you see into context. And how does that transition to the NFL, right? I think he's in a really good system with great weapons. And because 90% of his throws are one read timing throws, how does he work out of structure? That was one of the biggest knocks on Caleb Williams coming out of college, right? Everybody said he's great out of structure, but how does he play in structure?
Yeah.
And that's what Ben Johnson wanted to do for him. The thing is my biggest question is, how does Fernando Mendoza work out of structure?
Yeah.
Because what I see is that there's times, and go back, watch the Michigan State game. And the great part about watching the Michigan State game was that, and I apologize, I'm kind of long-winded, but if you go back and watch that Michigan State game, that was probably the most complete game that you're going to get out of Fernando, just to kind of see what he can do. Because he was moved off his spot. He had to basically get outside the pocket. He did well. You saw some of errant throws on inside routes again when he has to kind of go through his progressions, and some of those inside routes were a little off accuracy wise. But you saw how amazing his arm is. You saw. I think that Michigan State game was probably the most complete game you're going to see out of him, and what you would hope would translate to the NFL. Because if you go look at every other game, you don't see that amount of variety in his game. A lot of his games are just the one read timing routes. But then you get the game like Ohio State. Ohio State kind of messed with him a little bit. He had to kind of move around the pocket. You could see he got flustered a little bit. And so I think Fernando Mendoza is the hardest quarterback to try to figure out how does his game and what he sees. Because, Severe, I know we kind of went back and forth as it relates to a live that you had before. And it's one thing to be like, you can watch the game. You can watch the game, but it's another to understand what you're watching. It's another to understand what you're seeing and how you digest it. Yeah. And I think Fernando Mendoza is probably one of the hardest quarterback prospects, to understand how does the game that he looks so good in, how does that translate to the NFL when now he may not have just the comfort of the weapons that he has in Indiana. How does he work out a structure? Because I'm not saying he can't. Yeah. I'm just saying because I don't see it enough on film. If he's got to do that 10, 11, 12 times when he drops back to pass, he might get flustered. And so that's the part that I definitely struggle with, is how does his game translate to the NFL right now, and how comfortable is he going to be able to get working out of structure? And that's definitely one of my biggest concerns. I'm going to stop there. Severe, any feedback on that, or do you see anything in the chat? If I'm sure they're probably yelling at me.
Oh no, I think Ellis had a question. I think something we both said is, are they want to read timing throws by design, or are they want to reach because he knows who's likely to be open due to reading the coverage pre-snap? So I'll tell you to a throw he made against Alabama, and I think it was like a comeback route where it was a fantastic. Well, it may not have been comeback route, but I think it was a comeback route. But it was a fantastic throw. A fantastic throw he made in between three defenders. And, I think the wide receiver had to jump a little bit to catch it, but it was a great throw. If you watch that play, Mendoza, gets to his back pedal, so throw to his left. He gets in his back pedal. Never once does he look anywhere else but that wide receiver. So much so that I think it was a safety that was in the middle of the field ran over there, because Mendoza never looked anywhere else. His helmet never went anywhere else. And he still made that throw, despite it being in the middle of three defenders. Now, it was a fantastic throw. The guy made a good catch. It was completion. But you see that stuff where it's like, you can't lock on to one receiver pre-snap and then make that pass and get away with it consistently. That doesn't happen often in NFL. And usually when stuff like that happens, they're taking it back the other way. And, ironically on that play, I think there was like a dig route or a crosser that came open as a result of Fernando Mendoza locking on to that receiver. Now, had this been a situation where he was looking off a safety, he could have came back to that dig route, to that crosser and completed a pass to him as soon as he crossed the safety's face, and that probably goes for a touchdown. But he locked onto that one receiver and he made the throw. And, so like, that's why I think it's built into the offense. I don't think it's pre-snap reads.
And so, and I agree. Like, but a lot has to do with Mendoza being able to understand the matchups. Right, he loves his receiver Surratt, and I think a lot has to do with the trust that he has. Back shoulder fades have a lot to do with the trust that you have in the receiver you're throwing to, and so, but I do think that a lot of the one read timing routes is a great dial up of the offensive coordinator. You're understanding your mismatches. You're understanding the down and distance, and you're dialing up extremely good plays. But it's also great on Mendoza for seeing it, recognizing it. And the thing is, it's never going to work unless you have a quarterback that can put the ball in the right spot. And Mendoza is great at it. Exactly. I mean, when he can plant his feet and he sees it, it really is a thing of beauty. I'm not going to lie. And Severe, we've talked about even quarterback evaluations. Like that's one of the biggest things that I look for is ball placement. Now, but I also want to know, how is your ball placement when you're on the run, when you're working out of structure? His ball placement when he can get the ball out quick and it's one read timing routes. Yeah, it's a thing of beauty. Yeah. But how can you do it when you're moved off your spot? Yeah. And that's, again, it's just a question. I'm not saying he can't do it. Yeah. I just don't see enough of it. That's the problem. Like, Indiana was so damn good, and they executed the RPO and the offense and everything so well. I just don't see enough of it to know, is he going to be able to truly do it on a consistent basis in the NFL? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing, because there was a play where he was pressured, right? And, this is not – so we don't want to judge a guy by one player or by one game. Like, everybody wants – now all of a sudden Moore is, like, terrible because he had one bad game against a team he was overmatched against. But, one thing when you're kind of looking at, like you look at Moore, right? And you look at that first play where he threw that pick six. I think that was nerves. All right. I think that was his first throw. This is his first year starting, first throw in his biggest game. I think that was nerves. And you kind of, that maybe you look at that and say, was the moment too big? Did the pressure of that moment get to him? But I look at something that happened with Mendoza, where he was hit, then he fumbled, and he picked up the ball, and he had an opportunity to throw the ball away for an incompletion. And I think he got hit and fumbled again. And I think, fortunately, his offensive lineman was able to recover the ball. But, in those moments when everything isn't going well for you, how quickly do you react? How do you handle those moments? And I think that, he picked it up, and I'm yelling at the screen, bro, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. And he holds it. And I think he tried to run. I don't know if what he was doing. He tried to outrun the defenders, and then he got hit again, obviously, and took another unnecessary hit. And I want to say he fumbled again. So how you deal with adversity is very important. And I think, obviously Moore went out there. He had to deal with some adversity, the moment and his biggest game of his life against the number one team in the country. And he struggled. And, when Mendoza was presented with some adversity, I think he didn't handle that too well in that particular game either, but there was very few times where he really had to deal with any adversity.
And here's another. All right. And, Severe, let me know if you see any more kind of comments in there. The one thing that I also know is going through every single game, every single throw, is as a quarterback, you're going to have those moments multiple times in the game. The best quarterbacks have the ability to kind of throw your receiver open, move them to open space. And again, because 90% of his throws are just one read timing routes, I really didn't see him throw receivers open. Again, I'm not saying he can't do it. I just don't think he was asked to do it, or he had to do it, because the offense was just so dialed in that the best quarterbacks in the NFL are going to have those moments where you throw receivers open. The receivers are tied up in double coverage. One really good example is you're going to have a receiver go up the seam. You got a linebacker inside shade underneath them. You got a safety on top, and you're going to want to throw that ball, bend that receiver into open space down the middle, right? Or you're going to keep it on the line. He's going to run to the safety. It's intercepted, batted down, whatever it may be. You want quarterbacks that understand how to throw receivers open, and you move them to the open space. I just didn't see that at all out of all of his games. Now, if I might have missed one, but and again, it's not saying he can't do it. It's just saying that I think he was never asked to do it because again, that offense was so dialed in. And I mean, I don't know what his average time of release was, but I gotta believe he had easily one of, if not the quickest release in college football because they ran that RPO game so efficiently. And look, you just look at the Oregon game. He got rid of that ball so quick because everything was just pre-snap. He sees it, like the matchup, bang, plant that last drop step, ball's out.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do. There's not a defense that could get to him quick enough to be able to affect that. And so, and again, all that to be said, I'm not saying he's not going to be bad. It's just what we see on film. How well is he going to be able to translate that to the NFL? Because we all know he's not going to have just everything that he's had year one. And there's going to be, it takes quarterbacks at least 3 years to get a true evaluation out of them. So I'm not saying if year one he looks like trash, it doesn't matter. You're still going to grow. You're still going to learn, and you can definitely build on that. And I expect quarterbacks to look bad in their first year.
Exactly, and we shouldn't judge him based off his first year. That wouldn't be a fair evaluation of him because it took him some time at Cal, right? Like this, Indiana's the only place where he kind of hit the ground running. He kind of struggled early on his first year at Cal. He got better second year, and then he got with Signetti and over Indiana, and it was bam. He took off, like a rocket ship. And I think that in the NFL, he's gonna probably go through some growing pains. But he's a guy that he's willing to put in the work. He's very coachable. The talent is there. We'd have to, at that point, we're gonna have to see what kind of offense he fits best in. What kind of receivers we need to surround him with because it looks like he likes those big physical guys with like big catch radiuses that can he can throw a ball to obviously you look at that touchdown catch to I think it was to Becker along the sideline where he high points the ball with the defender in perfect spot. It was a good throw, but it was an amazing catch by a guy high pointing the ball. So he's going to need those kind of receivers. I mean, a guy like Jacoby Myers probably would have thrived with Mendoza, but obviously that ship has sailed. So we're gonna have to surround him with weapons, give him some protection, and give him an offense that kind of accentuates his strengths.
Yeah, and so Derek Carr, you're saying if Brock Bowers is the first read, then we're Gucci. And again, that's why it's just seeing is it going to translate because the NFL's defensive schemes are so complicated. I think that's why, and we were talking about this on the last live, I think that's why quarterback play in the last few years has been so up and down. Even the top tier quarterbacks, their numbers are up and down. They have a really good game, they have a bad game. They have a really good game, they have a bad game. They have a mediocre game. It's because defenses have become so sophisticated that you really don't know what covers they're in. You go look at Brian Flores' defense.
Yeah.
Brian Flores, basically, he runs a shell defense, 2 high safeties. You don't know. Is he in a cover 2? Is he in quarters? Is he in a palms look? He disguises it so well that you can no longer have that one read. Yeah. Unless you do a very good job of isolating that one backside receiver and you can just understand you run a route deep enough to where they're automatically locked into one-on-one coverage. Yeah. And so you're not going to get – Fernando will not get what he sees at Indiana, the college level and the pro level. There's no such thing as consistent one-read timing routes in the NFL. It's just defenses are so sophisticated. And so now you have your number one targets, without question. It just goes to what it goes to just kind of how does what he's successful today, just how does it translate? And again, we're not saying it won't. I think there's 90% just great attributes of Mendoza.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the things that I'm talking about it's just questions. It's not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he can't. It's just I don't think he was forced to do it. Like the example of throwing receivers open. He just wasn't asked to do it.
Yeah.
And so can he do it? Kind of moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and these aren't questions that are like strictly for like that we wouldn't ask of any other quarterback. Like, like had we not seen them do it, like every prospect has their weaknesses. So your job is to see how those weaknesses or how those successes, how they translate to the NFL. Like, how will teams try to take advantage of Fernando Mendoza at quarterback? Or how will he fit into an NFL offense? Like, those are things you have to look at because obviously he's making that jump. So I think these are the questions you want to be asking.
Yeah. So again, that's just kind of an assessment. Like, and it's saying it whereas there's not a single prospect coming out of college that's going to be perfect. And so it's just trying to figure out where the strengths, where the weaknesses. And I think we all can agree. I mean, Mendoza, his strengths are far beyond weaknesses, and even the weaknesses are just kind of question marks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you, like, you look at the arm talent, the intelligence, just the ball placement. There's a lot to like, and that's why I think that you could, if I'm a betting man, I think without question he's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I think I don't know if there's really a question at that point. And Jeff, saying in those inside routes with us with Bowers is a big deal. It is. It's a very big deal, and it's just understanding just kind of how. Because go back and if you go watch the film and kind of break it down, I want to say about 90% of his throws are to the sideline because they like the RPOs, they like the quick hitches, they like the back shoulder fades. 90% of his throws, I think, are to the sideline. And how well can he work the middle when he has to go through his progression? I just have questions because I don't think he was forced to do it consistently enough to know exactly how well can you do it. Because when you do see him do it, it's kind of 50-50 accuracy wise. Yeah. But I do suggest go back and watch the Michigan State game because I think that was the most complete game he played. You saw him go through his progressions. Again, accuracy was kind of hit or miss at times when it was going through progressions. But then he looked extremely good as well. So
yeah, exactly.
I see you, Money Chuck. Good times. I don't know if Money Chuck might have moved to Indiana now. He might have moved to Indiana. We just don't know. So
there are other people, and it's crazy that other people have made the same criticism. Like plenty of other people have made the same criticism.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's tough because I don't even look at it as like criticism. It's just questions. Exactly. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hard part. And so, but a lot of people, like Money Chuck, we talk about Genty. A lot of people will take it as hate, and that's where it's tough. I'm easy. Did you see the critique of Mendoza from former Jet scout Daniel Kelly? I did not.
I saw it. That's not, to me. It just came off as hate. It didn't come off as like critique. It came off as a guy that was looking for attention. So he's trying to throw a hot take out there by criticizing the number 1 prospect that that people basically universally think is the number 1 QB prospect in this draft class. And he said he's like a 4th round guy or something like that. Like, I didn't take that guy seriously at all.
Yeah. And Big Mike, man, throwing some
shout out to my
memberships.
Dog, Big Mike.
That's severe, man. Shout out to you, brother.
Man, appreciate you guys haven't done so already, man. Make sure y'all head over to Big Mike's channel, man. Make some great content over there, man. And he breaks down all the prospects. Does 30 for 30 or 30 days, 30 prospects. I think he changed the title. It was something else. Forgot what it was. I saw it on IG, but I'm sure one of the people he will break down will be Fernando Mendoza. So I'm sure that will be a fantastic episode. So make sure y'all sub to Big Mike.
King, appreciate it. Hey, you're not gonna get like banned. I think the only person we blocked at this point, and it was temporary because he's back. It was good old Money Chuck. He was getting a little crazy, but yes, like you're not gonna get banned or anything. We might have to put you in timeout a little bit. You're definitely not gonna get banned. And so, let's see. We got destroying the weights. What's going on, man? Appreciate you throwing the super chat. The Raiders should draft Mendoza number 1 receiver, and his number 1 receiver, Surratt. So let's kind of get into that a little bit, because obviously you see the connection is wild between those two.
Yeah.
Again, I've never seen a back shoulder fade executed so consistently and so well. And I don't know what round he would be projected in. I don't know if he's like a second round projection. Severe, do you know? Chat, let us know. Hit that hashtag raise. Let us know where you think Surratt would be drafted. Because again, I could do more research. I don't know.
Just looking at Surratt, because Surratt he came over with Cignetti from James Madison. And when he was at James Madison, I think he had a crazy season his like sophomore year. I think he put up like 1,200 yards or something like that. I think he almost put up 1,000 last year. I think his production dropped a little bit this year because he was hurt. But if you look at him, like his career, he's been more productive than Jack Besh. I think a lot of what's going to go into where he gets drafted will be, well, Jack Besh made his money during the Senior Bowl, right? During during the All-Star game process, and he was impressive during the Senior Bowl. And some of it was like the story attached to it as well. I think that gave him some name recognition. But Surratt, I think if you just look at his production, I think he's worthy of a second round pick at least. Probably a late second, but I think he'd be worthy of a second round pick. But like I said, a lot of it is going to depend on his athletic scores and what he does at these All-Star games.
Yeah. I agree. So I'm going to do more research just on the receivers that are out there, because it's also just kind of dependent on the value of the receivers that might go before him. So I don't know. But again, I will go back. That connection that they have is legit. So I'll definitely it's definitely a player you want to take a look at. Yeah. Appreciate the super chat. Rebel, what's going on, man? Can't you say it about pretty much every quarterback? When they have time, confidence, and can set their feet, they should be able to make every throw right.
Not every quarterback, but most of them should be able to.
How about that? Not every quarterback, but but it's not just the throw and setting the feet. I mean, trust me, like the ball placement, the accuracy, the velocity, the strength of the arm, everything, just the confidence in the throw is a lot that you could like. And so I don't know if you can say that about every quarterback. Not every quarterback can throw with just the intangibles and the qualities that Mendoza has. And so, because there's a lot of quarterbacks that throw and they think they're confident, and they can be wild with it. So Diesel, I really think Fernando will elevate his game once he's a pro, and he could be. Yes, yeah. Because one of the pros that I said is that I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he's extremely coachable. And so I think there's a lot that he is going to learn when he becomes a pro. And I think you continue to elevate that game. I think he has a good chance of being a good quarterback. Just, you know what I'm saying? So, sir, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things that's, I think one thing that's good about him is that he has his degree already. So he doesn't have any classes. So all his free time, he's already like operating like an NFL quarterback in terms of, his game study, his preparation, all that stuff. He's going to hit the ground. It's not going to be as much of a shock to him as I think it is to some other guys, just like the level of dedication it takes to prepare for games on Sundays. Like, cause he's been doing it like this basically this entire year on Saturday. So I think that will be a benefit for him in his transition to the NFL.
Yeah, and Truce, you're saying to me, 805, don't overthink it. He was making throws in NFL. Guys, don't make those back shoulder timing throws, and perfect ball placement translate perfectly. And I think you followed it up. Jack, I think I see yours. You're saying I'm a huge fan, but you're way off the mark. I have been watching Mendoza all year. The guy was blitzed. He's pulled out crazy runs, showing great athleticism. I'm not saying he can't run. Like he did. Like, he's had some really good runs. Now, I don't want to say this because everybody's going to probably hate me for this. Like, he runs goofy, but I don't think he's going to run like he did in college in the NFL. I really don't think he's going to. Yeah. And he's going to have to move. Like, yes, he's blitzed, but he's going to have to navigate the pocket, I think, better than what I've seen in the National Football League. Look at the game today, right? You got Drake May having to move around that pocket. He's got to navigate. You got Herbert having to move in that pocket. The defenses are going to dial up crazy blitzes, and he's got to be able to maneuver in that pocket. And what I've seen when he does have to move, and again, it's not often because they execute just the one read timing route so well that he drops his eyes pretty consistently. He starts to kind of move where he doesn't, when you see him go through his progressions, you can see his eyes actually drop. It looks like he's going through his progressions, but I don't think he is. His eyes drop and he's looking to run, which I don't like that out of him. I want him to be able to keep his eyes up. I want him to be able to just kind of trust in the process that offensive line is going to stick with him. And so, again, it's just, I think he's mobile enough to kind of get those short yardage third downs, but I don't think we're going to be able to rely on his legs. I just don't think he's going to be that athletic in the National Football League. Sir, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you very rarely, if ever, see him like on a QB keeper. But I think he has enough there where he can pick up some yards, right? If he sees nothing downfield, he can, I don't want to say get on his bike because it's not as smooth as a bike. He can get on like his unicycle and get you some yards. And I think he's good. And that's all you can really ask for, is that I think they have to respect his ability to hurt them with his legs. He's not going to be confused with Lamar Jackson. He's for damn sure not even Justin Herbert. I don't even think it's Drake May. Drake May he ran the ball very effectively. Like even last year in the NFL, he ran it very effectively. I don't think Mendoza is even that level of an athlete, but he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. And I think he has enough athleticism to be a contributor if the play breaks down.
Yeah. So, and again, all this to say, I think that if we draft him, I will be very excited. I'd love to match him up with an offensive minded head coach. You know what I'm saying? I think that would just basically kind of set this foundation in the right way. But I think he could be a very, very good quarterback at the National Football League. But history tells us that not every quarterback translates well. And so it's just trying to understand kind of where is his weaknesses, what does he need to grow on and improve on. But I would take it's probably, 90-10, which tells me, yes, you draft him 90-10, 90%. He shows a lot of great things. 10% is just kind of question marks, and that's okay. That's okay to question some things. And I love it, right? People are telling me that they think differently, and that's cool, because at the end of the day, we will find out as time goes on.
Yeah.
And so let's see. All right. We got D-Rock, you're saying first, hold on, D, so you're saying, so if everyone is so worried about Mendoza, who would you not be worried about? Say which QB? Are you talking
all of them? I think you'd be worried about all of them. I think if we were talking about a different quarterback, would you be talking about their different, like a different quarterback's weaknesses? Like, I think that at this point, it's almost a foregone conclusion that we're going to select Mendoza. So that's why more of the intention is on Mendoza. Had this been Dante Moore, I think 805 would have spent all night watching Dante Moore, and he would have come up here with criticism about Dante Moore's offense. So I think, like we're talking about Mendoza because this is a subject of conversation. Like, it's not like every prospect has concerns. Ruben Bain has concerns. Arvell Weiss has concerns. Like, like everybody has concerns. Like, that's just part of being a prospect.
Yeah, and choose fine. Going back, you said he's hard to read. He was making all the reads and perfect ball placement. How is perfect ball placement, the progression hard to translate to the NFL? It's because if you watch him, it's because it's like he's playing catch. If you watch the Oregon game, he's literally just playing catch with his receivers. He's not getting moved off his spot. He can plant his feet perfectly. And so it's about, is that ball placement going to continue when he's moved off his spot, when he has to get out the pocket, when he's on the run? And again, I'm not saying he can't do it. It's just that he wasn't forced or asked to do it very often. A lot of his throws, 90% of his throws, was literally look like he's just playing catch with receivers. And that doesn't fault him.
Yeah.
That doesn't fault him at all. Because when he's playing catch with his receivers, it's beautiful. Yeah. Ball placement, everything. It's just trying to understand how effective is he going to be? Because in the NFL, he's going to get moved off his spot. In the NFL, he's going to have to create his own plays. In the NFL, he's going to have to throw receivers open. But because I really don't see him throwing receivers open because he isn't asked to do it or doesn't have to do it, I'm just questioning, like, I'm just wondering, can he do it?
Yeah.
So
it's like we said, he went into that game and he had basically all the advantages, but he took advantage of those advantages. Sometimes a guy goes into a game, he has advantages, he doesn't exploit them. Mendoza executed, and that was the most important thing. You want to see a guy in that situation execute. Like, you can only beat who's in front of you. And so, it's not his fault that he has the superior team. Like, he went out there with a job to do, and he did it an exemplary job. Like, we won't take anything away from him in that regard, but you still have questions inside of that performance where, okay, he did this really well. How does this look in the NFL? And I think he's a guy that works hard enough, and I think he's coachable enough where, he can make up, or he can, overcome some of his weaknesses, or he can get better at some of the areas that he hasn't shown yet, or once given the ability to show these things, execute them and do it with some consistency. But right now, those are still question marks. We haven't seen him do it as of yet. And, until you see it do it with some consistency, they're going to remain question marks.
Yeah. And every rookie has question marks, no matter if you pick first or 257, Mr. Irrelevant, whatever it may be. Like, there's always question marks. And history will tell you that not a lot of top 10 players actually work out. That's just what history tells you. Maybe I take it back. I want to say a lot don't work out. It's just people will draft them thinking they are the next guy, and then they're just hit with flaws. Something happens because there's a lot that needs to be learned, that needs to be basically taught and processed. But the one thing I will say, and I know, Severe, you heard me say it, and I'll say it again, like, I also think a lot of the success of the quarterback is out of the hands of the quarterback themselves, right? And Rebel, you're saying Fernando's a great system quarterback with a great team that's undefeated, who has confidence in the team around him. You'll have that with the Raiders. Will he have that with the Raiders ever? I think a lot of the success of a quarterback is based on how the foundation's created for them. These quarterbacks that come out of college that are the top 3 quarterbacks or what have you, I think they have all the talent in the world to be good quarterbacks in the National Football League. But if they go to a team that's not going to provide them with the foundation and the weapons to succeed, a good head coach, a good offensive coordinator, whatever it may be, a good offensive line, they're going to fail. And it's not because they're bad. It's because the organization failed them. Yeah. And I always use the example of Tom Brady. If Tom Brady was drafted to the Cleveland Browns, there's a really good chance Tom Brady wouldn't be Tom Brady today. You know what I'm saying? And so I think every quarterback is somewhat of a system quarterback for the most part. But a lot of the success of the quarterback, I think, is sometimes out of the hands of the quarterback themselves. So I guess one of the things, and now that we kind of talked quarterbacks, right? And I'm trying to bring up as much as I can. And
what? Hold up.
Another one?
Might check. Yeah. When we got asked for it, so just because you guys didn't see faults means that we can't see faults. So if you guys don't see a fault, then it doesn't exist. Is what you're saying. Like, come on, bro. Come on, brother. Come on, man. Go take a long walk off a short period with that kind of take.
It'll be interesting. And again, look, like, this is why I love doing it live. We definitely want to basically chop it up, go back and forth. And if you guys, think we're wrong, that's perfectly fine. Let's talk about the national championship, because I do think this, with Miami's defense, it's going to be a test. It's definitely going to be a test for Indiana. I know a lot of people kind of talk about that Indiana pass rush. I know a lot of people like Ruben Bain. I might piss more people off. I'm actually not a big Ruben Bain fan. Drafting him in the top 10, I would say. I actually think there's a lot of flaws in Ruben Bain's game. I haven't seen a whole lot, but I've seen about 4 games to where, yes, there's some where he does look really good. But again, it's also assessing just, he's going to have to go against a bunch of athletic offensive tackles. And I think his ass is going to get stalemated against just against offensive tackles in the National Football League. I think maybe he's more of a 3-tech inside guy. And I don't want to I'm not going to make this comparison. It'll really piss people off. But I don't.
I compared him to Ed Oliver. That's what people got pissed off when I said that.
You know who I kind of compared him to? And it's a guy that I actually liked, but more where he was drafted. I think he's more of a not as athletic. I think this player was a little more athletic, had a little more variety to his game. Kwity Paye. Remember Kwity Paye from Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan. Yeah.
I liked Kwity Paye, but I liked
Yeah.
him more in like the drafted him in the 20s.
Did he go to the Colts? Did he go to? Did he go to
He
the
went to
Colts?
the Colts. I think Kwity Paye and Ruben Bain are very similar. Again, I think Kwity Paye has just a little more variety to his game and his pass rushing. But I think Ruben Bain's going to get stalemated against offensive tackles. I don't see him beating offensive tackles consistently in the NFL. I saw him, and again, I don't know how much that Miami defense was on the field, but I saw a couple times where Ruben Bain just he looked like he was gassing, trying to get to the quarterback in the fourth quarter. Now, again, I don't know how much Miami was on the field that last game.
They're never on the field. They're never on the field.
Okay.
Yeah, Miami controlled Ole Miss's defense was on the field a lot, and I think there was some criticism of one of their players that fell down and didn't get up fast. Like some 335-pound guy fell down and didn't like immediately pop to his feet. But Miami they controlled time possession. I don't remember exactly by how much, but they controlled the ball most of that game.
So I guess the question is, like, I think a lot of people are basically kind of going the route of Indiana's going to win. But guys, let me know, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win this national championship game? You got Indiana versus Miami. Like I said before earlier in the live, I think that Miami, we got to give a lot of credit to Miami as well. Just kind of that head coach kind of building and bringing Miami back to relevance. But chat, let me know. Hit that hashtag Raiders. Let me know. Who do you think, Indiana or Miami? Severe, I'm gonna throw it to you first, man. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to pull off this national championship?
I think Indiana, man. I think top to bottom, they have the better team. I think they're the better coach team. Very mature. A lot of these guys that are on this team, they have some familiarity with Cignetti. He brought a lot of these guys from Surratt is one of them. He brought a lot of guys over with them from James Madison. So and they've taken to his coaching extremely well. They're very disciplined. They don't beat themselves. I think that is a big thing. You rarely see them make costly mistakes, and they all work extremely hard and they hustle. I talked about the two fumbles that Mendoza had. I think they were recovered twice. Both of them were recovered by the same offensive lineman. One of them downfield, right after he had that nice run, and he tried to hit him. He tried to salsa some people and hit him with the spin move, and then he got hit. And but the offensive lineman was like, this is 10, 11 yards downfield after his quarterback had already broken contain and was. I think he ran for a first down already, right? But the offensive lineman was still hustling. That shows you the level of coaching that they have, and that shows you that these guys are playing hard not only for Cignetti but for Mendoza as well. So I think that they complete the process. They make history. They go undefeated and they finish in Mendoza's hometown against a guy that Cristobal. I want to say Cristobal went to Miami, and I think him and Cignetti. Like have a history. I forgot what it was, but there's some history between them as well. But
Really?
Yeah. I want to say I don't know if they coached together before. I think they were on staff together with. I think they were on staff together at Alabama. I think that's what it is. They were on staff together at Alabama. But yeah, I think they're the better team. I think Mendoza's gonna be in his hometown. I think he's gonna want to put on a show, and I think Cignetti. He's a guy that never lets the moment get too big for him. And like you said, all he does is win. Google
him. He does. And real quick, Reggie, you're saying I can tell. This is an interesting question. I heard somebody bring this up. I can tell with Mendoza's personality, he's not going to play football much longer. I say shorter than Andrew Luck. He's already mentioned that. I've heard someone mention that, just talked about that, where they actually think there's a chance. There is a world where he exits football early. He's a smart ass kid. Like, he's got a future outside of football. So I'm not going to say it can't happen, but Severe, any thoughts on that? Cause I don't know, but I just know he's a smart ass kid, and he who knows? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility, but you don't draft a guy in the beginning worried about the end. However long you have him is how long you have him. What does he do while he's here? And I think that's the biggest thing. He's a guy. He has a degree from Cal in business, like one of the, or yeah, I want to say he has a degree from Cal in business. I think he might have or was working on another degree if he doesn't already have one. So he's a super smart kid. You hear him talk, you can tell he's very intelligent. I think he's going to have a bright future in something else. I think honestly, I think he's going to one day he's going to be a politician. I can see it. He's going to be a politician one day, and he's going to be like mayor of Miami or something like that. He's going to be a politician one day. You can see it.
Yeah, choose finance real quick. I watched every game, and on back shoulder throws, that's not throwing guys open. It's that's there's a very big difference between throwing guys open, and I gave that analogy as to where basically you're going on the seam route, middle of the field's wide open, you got a linebacker underneath, the safety on top, and you basically are going to throw that ball kind of into the middle of the field and push your receiver to the open field. A lot of the best quarterbacks, the good quarterbacks, can do that and do that very well. And you have to do that because the way just defenses are very just kind of sophisticated. And again, a back shoulder fade is very different. Back shoulder fade isn't throwing a guy open. And so, but I watched every single one of them. And we're going to do game. We're going to break this thing down. We're going to break this thing down. And it'll give you guys the opportunity that if I'm seeing it wrong, then let me know. Let me know without question.
Also, throwing with anticipation as well. So something else. Like a back shoulder throw, you can see a back shoulder throw. Like that's something you see. It's not something like that's not there or like an opening that's not there yet, and then you anticipate it being there. A back shoulder throw is you see the guy is over the top, so you throw it behind him. You know, you still takes very good ball placement to be able to make that throw, but you know, and trusting your receiver that you guys are recognizing the same thing. But you know, like that's not a anticipatory throw or that's not throwing a guy open. That's making the throw the throw that's there to be made is that back shoulder throw. It's there to be made.
Yeah, so I'm so far behind the chat. I'm literally 30 minutes behind the chat. My bad. Oh, there's over 300 people in the building. Appreciate y'all. If you guys do like it, or if you're like Money Chuck, you don't like it, you don't have to double tap the screen. But if you do like it, double tap the screen. Hit that sub button if you want to get included in the chat. But we're definitely going to break down the game film and I'll let you know what I see. And you gives you your opportunity to agree or disagree, but I'm already starting to kind of cut the film, and we're going to show a lot without question. And so, all right, shoot, let's do this real quick. We got a ton of, and again, I apologize, I'm behind the chat. We have a ton of head coaching news that has popped up. We got a lot of guys that are basically now kind of confirmed. Interviews have been requested. I don't know if the coaches have actually confirmed the interviews and have accepted it, because obviously the last head coaching cycle, we had a ton of coaches that refused it. So we'll see just kind of how it works out. But there is a name that I think a lot of us have been kind of watching out for. Severe, I know you've been watching out for it. Is this guy right here. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Hopefully it works out. Some of us are on vertical. Some of us are on the horizontal, which I hate, but that's where we're sitting in. Let me do this. Bang. Let me see how this works out. Okay. Bang. I'd like to go here. That'll work. All right. We got a head coach. We definitely got a few. We're going to talk about Matt LaFleur, but we got, let's see, the Packers, DC, Jeff Hafley. Definitely. Guys, let me know what you guys think about that. We also have the passing game coordinator for the Rams, which was wild. When I saw that, I was like, wait a second. Passing game coordinator for the Rams, but not Matt LaFleur. That was kind of wild, but obviously the news caught up. We also got Ejiro Evero, the DC for the Panthers. He's coming in as well. Chris Shula, a name that I think a lot of people have kind of thrown out there a little bit, the DC over with the Rams. So he is now tied in with us. We're going to do a deeper dive on these guys on Wednesday. So tap in with us on that. But the one guy that I think Severe's been waiting on is Matt LaFleur. So, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on Matt LaFleur. Do you want to see him potentially be the head coach for our Las Vegas Raiders? Obviously, he's got the ties over there. He's currently with Sean McVay, which is great. So, Severe, I'm going to throw it to you first. Let me know what your thoughts are on Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, like he's been my number one. He was my number one guy before we hired Pete Carroll. You know, he's a guy that I think he checks a lot of the boxes. He's spent a long time in the NFL. First of all, he's still young, offensive-minded guy. I think he'll work well with a quarterback. He spent time on the Atlanta staff with Cal Shanahan. He spent time under Cal Shanahan with the 49ers. Obviously, he was one of the better defensive minds in the league. Robert Saleh got his first head coaching opportunity. Saleh hired him on as offensive coordinator when they drafted Zach Wilson. Obviously, Jets management wanted to move on from him because they were trying to salvage the Zach Wilson pick. Saleh did not want to move on from him. He wanted him to stay. But they ultimately they did let him go. Then he did what his brother did, right? He was offensive coordinator under Sean McVay, and I think his trajectory is very similar to Matt. Matt spent 1 year as offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans, and then after that, he went over to the Rams. I think he spent 1 or 2 years there, and then he got hired as an NFL head coach. So I think Mike is ready. I think Mike is ready. We've seen just how much he's learned this year. You hear him speak. He speaks confidently. Sean McVay sings his praises. He's doing great work with Matthew Stafford over there. I think obviously Sean McVay is the play caller, but Sean McVay's been a play caller for a lot of these guys, and they've gone on and still had success. So I think he's a guy that's ready. I think he's ready.
And you very well could be right. I'm going to kind of get down to the bottom of the chat, see if people have their feedback. I know I've made the comparison between Mike LaFleur and Clint Kubiak, and I think they both have great history in the NFL. They have history that, at least for myself, and Severe, I think you agree, that you want a head coach. I think we need a head coach that has a lot of history in the NFL of just understanding how to navigate the NFL system, right? And obviously with him coaching under Shanahan as well as McVay, that provides so much experience that you would want. And at the same time, if we do end up going with a quarterback, number one, and we get a quarterback, we want to develop them, these are two guys that I think could very well develop a quarterback. And so if he were to be that, I think he's my second choice. He's my second choice for the head coach. And the only reason, one of the bigger reasons why I put Clint Kubiak above Matt LaFleur is just because I would have the question marks is, can Matt LaFleur continue? Because I don't take what he did with the Jets as any relevance as to what he would be as an offensive coordinator. I don't. I think he was in a rough situation. You're with the Jets organization that is going to screw you over anyways. He had Zach Wilson as a quarterback rookie. So I actually just take it as it's good that he has offensive coordinator experience. Yeah. But my question mark with him is just, can he replicate what McVay's doing? Once he's in the driver's seat, is he going to be able to do that? And the thing is, with Clint Kubiak, I think he's showing that he could at least be able to coordinate an offense at a good level, right? What he's doing with Seattle. I know when he was with the Saints, there was a lot of injuries that kind of happened during his stint over there. But again, it was one of his first times actually running an offense as the actual offensive coordinator. So there's a learning curve a little bit. But Kubiak with Seattle, you're seeing just kind of how he could put that together. And Jackson Smith-Njigba is looking like a number one. And so I just lean Kubiak because I think he's shown that he could do it. Whereas with Matt, there was just, can he replicate what McVay's doing? And so, but to me, I think it's basically Clint Kubiak, and then I think it is Matt LaFleur because I love his history. I love the experience that he brings to the table, and that McVay tree is nothing to mess around with. No. So I think if he were to be the head coach and we end up getting an offensive or a quarterback, yeah, I think without question, I think the nation could be and can have something to be excited about without question.
Yeah. I mean, and another thing I like about him is that I think, he has ties to Raheem Morris, who I think is a very, very good defensive coordinator. And I think that, you can already see a connection there where, he can bring a guy like Raheem Morris over to be the defensive coordinator here. And I don't think you have to worry about Raheem Morris leaving anytime soon for another head coaching opportunity.
Yeah. So I think, for the most part, I do think quite a bit of people do like the idea of Matt LaFleur possibly being here. I know a lot of people they look defensive minded as well. Again, we'll top into this more on Wednesday when Chris joins us. But the one guy I will just touch on it is obviously coming from that McVay tree, and I have something to kind of say on that. Is a lot of people are talking about Chris Shula, and I didn't know how much actual history Chris Shula has in the NFL. I initially just assumed it wasn't much because, man, he looks young. But at the same time, I went and I did my homework a little bit, and damn, like he actually has quite a bit of NFL experience. What's your thoughts on Chris Shula?
I mean, you see what that defense is doing, and they lost Aaron Donald, and they really haven't missed a beat for the most part. They've done it, and it's a very young defense over there for the most part as well. So, Byron Young, the other kid, Jared Verse. I think they have our guy from Florida State. A lot of people wanted. Was it Braden Fisk? I think is his
Braden
name.
Fisk. That was my number one D tackle coming out that.
Yeah. So and then he got a guy that a guy I hated. That I don't say hate. Hate is a strong word, but a guy prospect I didn't like in Emmanuel Forbes, who was
worse than Tommy Eichenberg.
Oh my God. Now, but Emmanuel Forbes was a guy. He was drafted in front of Christian Gonzalez by the Commanders, and he's got him playing some pretty good ball in the secondary. Obviously, Quentin Lake. I'm a UCLA guy. Quentin Lake is a guy. I think he was a late round pick or undrafted guy that went to the Rams back there at safety, and he's helped him become kind of the leader of that defense. So I think he's doing it with not a whole bunch of like premier resources that have been put into that defense outside of obviously a first round pick in Jared Verse. So I think he's doing a very good job over there.
I think so too. I think he's doing well. Again, I think it's one of those where it's just I want to go obviously offensive minded. But if Chris Shula was available, if we went defensive minded, I do have two guys ahead of him. I'd like to see Brian Flores or a Robert Saleh, but then I think he would be right there in the mix. And the only reason
I might have Edger over him as well, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Because I think as the defensive minded coach, it's also taken into consideration what kind of coaching staff can you develop? What kind of coach staff can you bring in? I think Brian Flores and Robert Saleh would demand some of the best offensive minds coming in. I think the Brian Dabolls, I think Mike McDaniels, I think they would be willing to basically coach underneath them. Whereas I don't know how excited or they would take that job under Chris Shula. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I just think that those guys, Brian Flores, Robert Saleh, they could get some damn good offensive names to take over the offense. Chris Shula, I just don't know who he would garner as an offensive coordinator. Do you think, Sever, in your opinion, do you think Chris Shula could get maybe one of those top offensive names in the building?
Yeah, that would be the question. I mean, I would assume he would poach somebody from the Rams. I'm not sure who their quarterbacks coach is over there. So obviously, if he leaves, Mike LaFleur is staying. Unless Mike LaFleur gets another job, that's a strong possibility. Maybe the passing game coordinator guy. Maybe since that technically is a promotion, if we hire a guy like Chris Shula, and maybe that's what the thinking is with hiring that guy. I can never say his name right, but maybe that's what the thinking is with hiring him, is that if we do bring on Chris Shula, almost like the Davis Webb interview, after we interview Vance, like, so, hey, we want to look at you as head coach, but in case we hire this other guy, he wants to bring you on as offensive coordinator, we already have some familiarity with you. Maybe the same situation here with Chris Shula and the other kid where, hey, we hire Chris Shula, he wants to bring you over as offensive coordinator. That's the next logical step.
Yeah. Sorry, I am so behind the chat. I apologize. I did come across this one. Truth Finds, you're saying Mendoza showed he can throw on the run. He runs an RPO system, right? That's not throwing on the run.
Yeah.
RPO system is you're going through the mesh point, you pull the ball and you throw it. So exactly. The RPO system is you're not throwing on the run. So that doesn't have any comparison. Yeah. I apologize. I'm so far behind.
Yeah, that's like because run pass. You're thinking of like a QB option, like back in the day where they like had the option to pitch. Like Drake May ran one today, I want to say, and he fooled Mac on it. Whereas like, hey, quarterback has the option to pick, and sometimes it's a triple option where you have the option to pitch it, to keep it, or to throw it. But that's not what an RPO is.
Yeah. Jack, you said that's why he's that good. He's young, but good. Damn, I think you're talking about
Talking about
Mendoza.
Mendoza.
Yeah,
I don't see Joe Burrow. I don't see Joe Burrow. Like people want to make that comparison. Joe Burrow threw for 6,000 yards.
Yeah, I think he ended averaging like 371 yards a game. Where I don't know what Mendoza. I think Mendoza's at like 220 or something like that. Yeah. I don't know if it's less than. I don't know, but making the Joe Burrow comparison, I think is rough.
He is rough. I think Mendoza has a stronger arm. I think Joe Burrow is also another guy that was very underrated as an athlete. I think their athleticism is probably about the same, but Joe Burrow's his superpower was his anticipation, his ability to throw with anticipation and throw guys open was otherworldly. Now, obviously, he had a lot of weapons there. He had 3 NFL wide receivers on his team, but I think Mendoza has 3 NFL wide receivers on his team as well. Obviously, he doesn't have 2 guys that are probably in the top 5 in Chase and Jettas, but he has 3 guys that I think, in Surratt, Cooper, and Becker, who will all be playing on Sundays one day.
Yeah. And again, just to kind of reiterate that with the Mendoza stuff, it's like, look, there's so much to like about him. It's just that we just say that there's some question marks, but we're going to break down the game film. We'll show, I'll show kind of what I see, and it gives everybody the opportunity to definitely take a look at it and agree or disagree, which is perfectly fine. What up, James? I see you, man. Again, I apologize. I'm behind the chat. So let's do this. I think I might be catching up. Where's the flag? What? His 6 stepper. I see you, man. What's going on? If Sane was in this draft, who goes first, Mendoza or Sane?
Mendoza.
I still think Mendoza goes.
Mendoza. Yeah.
Because again, it's I haven't watched. I'm not doing a deep dive on Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? The kid's not available. I'm not really doing a deep dive again. I wait to really dive into the film after our season's done, and we're done. We lost against Kansas City, so that's when I start diving in a little bit. I think you still take Mendoza because again, there's so much to like about Mendoza.
Yeah,
I think Mendoza could be a very, 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 very good quarterback. As long as you build the foundation, and that goes for any quarterback, but as long as you build the foundation, you have the right weapons, the right offensive coordinator, the offensive mind to kind of help him develop him. Because every quarterback has to be developed at the college level. And so I still, just based on the little that I've seen Ohio State play, I still think it's Mendoza. And I think it's actually a pretty far margin for Mendoza, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people want to talk about accuracy. Julian Sane, I think he broke the Division I record for like completion percentage, I want to say. But I'm still going. Just physical tools, like everything. I lean, and just about everything. I lean Mendoza. Basically, just about every category.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So, okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, man, choose 100%. Like, and that's here's my thing. That's what I like. The back and forth and everything. You guys have heard me say it before. I'm not the end all be all. Like, this is just my opinion. Yeah. But I like to break down game film to kind of show it, and then it gives everybody the opportunity to agree or disagree or point out things that, again, I may have missed. Now, like I've said, because I have coached it for a very long time and played it for a long time, I think I can speak to it. But again, it doesn't mean that I catch it all or I know it all. So that's why I love breaking down game film live. It'll be fun. We're going to do it for a lot of prospects. Yeah. So, Mopar, real quick. Okay, we talked about – sorry, again, that's 8:31. Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes behind. I'm going to catch up with the chat, I promise. Let me bring us back up to the big screen. Oh, my bad. Hold up. Let me bring Severe back. Y'all just don't want to look at me. Mopar, which top free agents should we target? I think it's offensive line, and let's just go. Let's go offensive line. Let's go that route. That's what I want to go after. Severe, your thoughts, real quick.
Yeah, offensive line, Braden Smith, Linderbaum. I think those are 2 guys right out the door. I'm not sure what receivers are available, but maybe a receiver. If we don't get one via the draft, or we're not planning on getting one via the draft, maybe another running back, because I'm pretty sure I don't see us keeping our backfield. Outside of Genty, I don't think any of those guys return. So I think probably need another running back or 2.
Yeah, no, Raider, while you're saying, hey, Matt LaFleur will be available tomorrow. It'll be
Yeah,
crazy if he is.
he may, yeah, he may.
It'd
But
be wild.
after blowing that lead, it's pretty crazy.
What's your thoughts on that? Because someone asked that question earlier in the live. So what's your thoughts on that? If the Packers my only response was if the Packers let go of Matt LaFleur, then they better have a damn good plan because you're letting go of a coach that took a team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I would believe that your expectation is the next guy is going to take you to the playoffs,
Yeah.
which is tough for a first year quarterback or a first year coach to do. So, question is, like, who do you think? Like, if they let him go, who do you think they would potentially have their head on to try to bring in? And I just mentioned because I saw Matt LaFleur, I was like, or Mike LaFleur, that'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think they do that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if they have a guy on staff. Maybe they're big. Maybe they're enamored with Halfley, and they want to promote Halfley. Like I don't know because like if Matt LaFleur became available, he probably jumps to the top of my list. He probably jumps to the top of my list just for what he's been able to do. I mean,
Maybe.
He probably jumps to the top of my list, man. And he's done it with multiple quarterbacks. Obviously, Jordan Love is a young guy. He was able to get that guy playing pretty well. He's done it with the run game. They don't really have like top weapons right now, wide receiver. Ever since they got rid of Devontae, his Romeo Dobbs and Dontavius Wicks and Jaden Reed, like Watson, like those aren't premier guys at wide receiver. So he's still been able to get production out of Love even with those guys. So I think he's done an admirable job, and I think we've seen at Green Bay they've cracked the code on developing quarterbacks. Like they went from Favre, who was obviously a Hall of Famer, to Aaron Rodgers, who's a Hall of Famer, to Jordan Love, who's a very good quarterback. Maybe not a Hall of Fame caliber yet, but they've hit the ground running and they've been consistent in that quarterback development and that quarterback like passing it on to the next guy. So I think if we can get a guy like Mendoza in here and let him work with Matt LaFleur, I think that'll be a good recipe.
Yeah, so we'll see. Kind of see how it works out again. I apologize. I think I'm somewhat caught up in the chat. Raquel, I think you're saying that you take Sane instead of Mendoza at this point. I think that's what you're saying. I'm not. I don't.
No, he was saying that Sane has some good receivers, but I think
got it.
He auto corrected and put saying and put the G at the end. So he was
my bad. I did not want to put that out there. There are some people that'll attack you. My bad. Let's see. Raider Pete, what's going on, man? You got Indiana 31, Miami 24.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, but I think with that Miami defense, it's going to be a very interesting test. But that's a very good stat. Just the average age that Indiana has on that squad. I mean, there's a massive difference between 20 and 21, like 21-year-old, young men, and 24, 25-year-old men. Like, there's a massive maturity difference. There's a developmental difference. And so, hey, Cignetti's doing it right. He's cracking some code, and that could be one of them.
Doing it right. You could see that. You could see that going forward, that's like the wave of the future.
Yeah. And people, it becomes trends. People will follow in line. So, Matt LaFleur should be the Raiders' number one priority if the Packers let him go. Crazy if they do, man. That's crazy. I'm afraid I don't think the Packers fire LaFleur yet. They better have a good plan if they do.
Yeah, damn good plan.
You know what I'm saying? So all right. Let's see. LS, notable free receivers under 30, Juwan Jennings, Tutu Atwell, Rashid Shaheed, Debo, Diane Brown, Hollywood Brown. It's not a super exciting list. No, the only one that actually I think might be would be okay, but I think, God, it would be a million times better if we had Jacoby Myers is Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, they're the same guy, basically.
But like if you pair up Juwan
Jennings has a injury history.
He does. But if you had Juwan Jennings, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers,
oh yeah,
I think that would be a good. That would be some good weapons on the field.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think those are the perfect guys for Fernando too. Like those are the kind of weapons Fernando would like thrive with.
Yeah. All the other guys like Rashid Shaheed, he's a gadget guy in my opinion. Tutu Outwell, he's very
He's a
one
small guy.
dimensional.
Yeah, very small.
Debo, he'll be 30 pounds overweight by training camp. Severe. Anybody else kind of?
No, I mean, I don't want any of those guys. I mean, to be honest with you, and the reason why Juwan Jennings is a free agent is because he wants to get paid. Like like the 49ers didn't want. It's like saying it's Jacoby again. Like like it's Jacoby all over again. He wants to get paid. The 49ers didn't want to pay him. I think he's actually older than Jacoby, if I recall correctly. So we didn't want to pay Jacoby Myers, but if we would go out and pay Juwan Jennings what he wants, which is essentially what Jacoby got with the Jaguars, maybe a little bit more for a guy that's older with the injury history, and that he's been heard to have some attitude problems, and he's a Tennessee receiver. Like those guys, those are guys who are missing the league.
Perry Stevenson said Minter as head coach and Williamson as from Miami for OC. Severe, what's your thoughts on that? I have a small take on that.
Jesse Minter, I mean, I would like for him to get some more experience at the NFL level before we hire him as a head coach, to be honest with you.
And that's actually my exact point with Jesse Minter. I just don't like how his inexperience, his lack of history in the NFL. I think if you take a guy like Jesse Minter and put him as a head coach, your front office has to be so on point and so dialed in to help kind of mold him into a good head coach. And I think we were talking about this on the live last Wednesday. If he went to the Ravens, if he did get a head coaching job, if he went to the Ravens, that would actually be a really good spot for him because that front office is so dialed in, the GM, owner, everything, that I think it would help kind of mold a young head coach, an inexperienced head coach. We just don't know what we have in the front office right now. And history tells us it's been an absolute mess. And can I just add to that? Tom Brady being in the broadcasting booth, and we got all these head coaches that we're trying to bring in and interview, and he's taking 90% of his time in a goddamn broadcasting booth. I'm pissed. Like, Tom Brady, you're either all in or all out. And right now you ain't all in, so get your ass the hell out. Like, I'm done. I mean, if Mark Davis is going to release a statement that he is going to be part of 50% of the decision making as it relates to the next head coach, why the hell aren't you 110% in Henderson, in that practice facility, making sure you're dialed in on this process? Because if you miss your name, if we miss the next head coach, your name is written all over this. And so far, everything that has your name written on it has failed miserably.
Yeah. So
I was pissed. I knew he was going to be the broadcaster, but when I heard his voice, man, it pissed me off even more. Any thoughts on that, Severe? Or am I being?
Yeah, for this stage of the process, you want like throughout the year, does he have to be there on a day-to-day basis? No, I mean, not really. But at this stage right now, where you're making essentially the most important decisions you'll be making as a franchise in regards to who's going to be the next head coach, what are you going to do with the number one overall pick? What's your plan for free agency to support, assuming you take a quarterback number one overall, to support that quarterback and make, the conditions as conducive to success as possible? He should be an integral part of that. Like, he should be spending a lot more time drilling down with the decision makers. And it's just hearing him on broadcast. It's it does bother me a bit.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, right? And we've said it before. This is easily the most important decision this Raider franchise has had to make in the last 20 plus years. Because if you get this wrong, you're gonna lose the Raider fan base. Like, the Raider fan base can be so pissed off if you got this wrong, and then they can always point back to Mark Davis said Tom Brady and John Spytek can be part of the decisions of the next head coach, and everything he has touched so far has failed. Whether it's get Ben Johnson, he was tied to Chip Kelly, and look, he's not here, so ultimately it didn't work out. Matthew Stafford, Cam Miller, like, everything has been reportedly tied to Tom Brady, it's failed. So he better fucking get this shit right. John Rodriguez, man, appreciate the super chat you're saying, Caleb Vaughn and Spillane, our free agents. Two guys I did not want to get rid of last offseason. But the hard part is I think we have to figure out who our DC is going to be before we figure out who's going to come over here. God, I'd love to see us be more of a 3-4 type of defense. I love a 3-4 defense, but we'll definitely got to see. Severe thoughts on Caleb Vaughn and Spillane, free agents? You want to see them possibly come back?
Caleb Vaughn, yeah, I'd love to bring Caleb Vaughn back to replace Tyree. I mean, I don't think we should ever let him go, to be honest with you, especially for the deal that he got. Uh, Essentially, we gave that deal to Kuntz. Kuntz, thus far that really hasn't paid dividends. He showed some flashes late, started to come on a little bit, but Caleb Vaughn, from pillar to post, from like preseason camp, we were hearing that Caleb Vaughn was probably one of the more disruptive guys on that defensive line for the Patriots, and now obviously he finished off by having a pretty effective game against the Chargers. So we'd love to see that guy over here, but I think the Patriots, they're a smart team. They're going to take care of him.
Yeah, I agree, man. John, I appreciate the super chat. Quirk, you're saying no Merrick or JJ mentions. Oh, my bad. Did you click on one? My bad.
No, I didn't click on anything. No.
Oh, you said no Merrick or JJ mentions, but we should have paid them. I know you mentioned JJ. I think for JJ, it kind of goes back just the talks of the running back position.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't a fan of drafting a running back early, because the free agency money doesn't warrant you re-signing a running back at a high cost. No. Unfortunately, like that's just what unless it like it's a Saquon, right? It's the final piece of the puzzle. Yeah. If it's not the final piece of the puzzle, then free agency doesn't warrant you bringing back a high-paid running back when you have so many other needs and so many other position needs.
Yeah,
which sucks. I hated seeing him leave the building.
Yeah.
Is there any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've been against paying running backs forever. Like I was against paying JJ. Like I'm not for paying running backs. I was happy going with the running back by committee. Now, had I known that we'd let JJ go and then a year later just draft a running back and pay him the second most guaranteed money at the position in the NFL, then I would say, well, damn, we might as well just keep the commodity that we know that has been successful. But obviously that wasn't the path they chose to take, and so I would have loved for JJ to stay here. Merrick, Merrick, the last few years, when they start putting him down in the box, playing him a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, I think that was a Patrick Graham decision. I don't know if Pete Carroll would have used him the same way, possibly, because I think that's something that he did at TCU. Was he actually played nickel corner at TCU at times. He was a post safety and he played nickel corner too. So that was something that's a skill set that translates well. I think he probably does it better than Jeremy Chin at this level. But I don't know how much Pete Carroll valued him being a player to keep here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sure why any defense coaches would even want to come here. We don't have anybody on defense apart from Max, and he might get traded. Who's the next best, or who's our next best? Butler? That's a very interesting question. So outside of Max, who is our next best defender? Who's the next best defender that we could basically hang our hat on if Max were to leave the building? And you all know, like, I am an Adam Butler fan, but I also know he's just an interior defensive tackle, right? And he's not the best in the league. He's not even close to the best in the league. I think he's effective. Yeah. Without question, he needs help next to him. But, I will say, I'll be honest, I'm looking across the board, and I think our next best that we would probably have to bring back, if you just look at overall play, it might be a Landon Roberts.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know how good this guy is. Qualify that. I don't know how good this guy is because he saw so little work that it's hard to judge accurately. But it would probably be our best defender outside of Max would probably be Eric Stokes. But he saw such little work because they were just targeting Caillou or targeting Devin White or so he didn't see a lot of work. He did not see a lot of work. But just in terms of if you look at like the advanced statistics and stuff like how many yards they give up in coverage or per snap or something like that, like he's one of the best guys in the league, but he just didn't get a lot of work. He did not get a lot of work.
I agree. And that was actually a name that I was thinking of. But I think what was tough was like it's like, yeah, he didn't get a lot of work, right? I think he played a lot better than some of us expected him to as the season kind of progressed and went on. But I mean, another name that you can maybe put out there, and again, it just kind of shows how bad our defense was as a whole at times, or the majority of the season, is imagine if maybe Charles Snowden got more work.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have shined a lot more than he did because he only played probably, I don't know, he was in a rotation beginning the season with Tyree, with Malcolm Kuntz. Maybe he got 30% of the snaps.
Yeah.
But with the 30%, he actually did pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tien, you're saying real quick, if A.J. Brown's available, would you open to trade or look for free agency Alec Pierce?
I like Alec Pierce. I'm not. A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's too strong of a personality for a guy like not especially not if we draft Mendoza, like, because you don't want to like, that's why, like, if we draft Mendoza, I'm staying away from Pickens. I'm staying away from A.J. Brown because like they will put unnecessary pressure on Mendoza to throw them the ball consistently. They won't be shy about it. And they don't, like, they're the type of guys that they don't care who knows, don't care if the head coach knows. They're going to put that kind of pressure on Mendoza. And you don't want him to have that kind of pressure. You want him to know, I'm not going to one person. I'm going to whoever is the best option on this particular play against this particular coverage. That's what you want him feeling. And when you have personalities and talents like A.J. Brown and George Pickens, that puts a lot of pressure on them to kind of force feed those guys the ball, especially if you pay those guys a lot of money, because us, the fans, we want to see them get involved as well. And then you got the fantasy people where they're going to be yelling about A.J. Brown not getting yards and stuff like that. Like, you don't want to put that kind of pressure on them.
No. And I'm going to go back up because Moon's over Miami. You're saying maybe he can multitask. And I think you're mentioning of Tom Brady. Yeah. I don't want him multitasking. I don't want him to multitask, given that this is the biggest decision in the last 20 plus years. I want him 110% in the building. That's just my take. Cool, Kev. You're also saying Snowden got enough snaps to get a lifters.
Thank you,
truck.
For his truck.
But for AJ Brown, for me, yeah, I think I just don't like AJ Brown because I think he's a head case.
Yeah,
I don't want to bring him in, but Alec Pierce, man, I think I know a lot of people have talked about Alec Pierce. I had some question marks on just how, do you bring him in as a number one? I don't think so.
See, no, you can't be number one. That's the thing, though.
But can you bring him in as a role player? Like, it's almost like bring him in and replace Deontay Thornton. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Deontay Thornton came in, I think the Raiders drafted him as a number one, but he's not a number one, but he has that ability to be able to take the top off the defense with his speed if he was a better route runner.
Yeah.
But Alec Pierce has shown, he always had speed, but he's shown this year he can take the top off.
Yeah.
And so if you bring him in to play that role, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
And what's ironic is that let's say you have be bringing Alec Pierce, right? He'll be conceivably in a very similar role that he was in with the Colts, where you got Michael Pittman, who's kind of like, the catch radius, the maybe contested catch guy. And that's a Jack Besh. Then you got Downs, who's like the smallest, speedy receiver. You look at that, maybe that's Trey Tucker. And you got Alec Pierce, who's like, to take the top off guy. So maybe you envision him as kind of playing the same role with us as he did with the Colts.
Yeah, possibly. And if you bring him in that way, I think that wouldn't be that bad of an option. Quirk, I ain't mad at Alec Pierce. Colquitt Pierce is way better than Besh. I can agree to that.
That kind of goes without saying.
And Severe, I was going through the chat. I don't know if this is what you said, but Alec Pierce would automatically be our best receiver.
He would be, yeah.
Like, automatically. There'd be no question.
Yeah.
He'd be our best receiver. And that's tough because Alec Pierce isn't a number one. He's at best a number two. And so you still got to address that number one if Deontay Thornton can't improve. Um,
I think you do immediately invest in offense, but you got to make smart investments.
yeah.
I don't think bringing AJ Brown, bringing the volatility of guys like AJ Brown and George Pickens, I don't think that's conducive for the development of a young quarterback. Like, you want that guy to have, like, Jacoby Myers. You see, like, the kind of calming presence the kind of presence that Jacoby Myers provided for a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Like, you need guys like that in the locker room, and I don't think that George Pickens or AJ Brown provide that. So if I'm more than willing to invest on the offensive side of the ball, but just not in those two guys.
Yeah. And we do want to we want to adjust the offense. I think you would have to start to build. It's like when we drafted Brock Bowers, everybody says now you have to build around Brock Bowers, and we drafted Genty, and everybody says now you got to build around Genty. Now you need to build around the quarterback. So yes, however you do that, it's got to be methodical, it's got to be strategic, and you got to make the right moves. And I think we all agree, yes, build the offensive line, make sure the offensive line is right, but if you take the stance of sitting Mendoza for at least the majority of the first year, which I think any rookie quarterback can benefit from that. You sit him the first year, he learns behind a good veteran quarterback. That gives you this offseason, not only the free agency but draft, but next offseason, free agency and draft to build this thing up. And if you pick Mendoza number one, you need to do everything you possibly can to give that kid the best chance of success, which means, unfortunately, that's, we talked about Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why for me, you don't invest in a running back.
Yeah.
Because you invest in the offensive line and you kill two birds with one stone. You can put a fourth round or a low-end free agent running back behind there and get 3.5 to 4 yards a carry. But what you do the most important thing is you protect your most prized commodity, your most precious commodity, which is the quarterback. So you take that money you would invest in the offensive line and you put it, or in the running back, and you put it in the offensive line. If you could have the meanest, baddest offensive line, you're a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
Or at least the likelihood that you have a top 10 offense is huge.
Agreed.
John, man, bring Caleb on and Kuntz.
And cut Kuntz.
I didn't want to cut Kuntz, but I wanted to keep Caleb on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to cut him. I think it was a great move by bringing him back initially. But I think coming off of that injury, you can tell, like, you're starting to see Kuntz wake up. Those last few games, he was starting to wake up. The quickness was coming back. The things that we saw at the end of 2023 was starting to come back. But coming off that injury, I think it was just going to take more than a season or a season of full gameplay to get back to Kuntz, but I definitely wanted to keep Caleb Chase on. So, Severe, your thoughts?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think that would have formed a nice little tandem on that side of the opposite of Max. But unfortunately, obviously, we didn't go in that direction. Kuntz is a free agent, so the new regime probably doesn't bring him back, so there's no need to even cut him. If you want to pursue Caleb, I think you're going to have some stiff competition from the Patriots, especially since the Patriots actually, the Raiders were the original team to give him a chance, but then they let him go. So now the Patriots are the next team to give him a chance. And I think he's going to show some loyalty to those guys over there for taking a chance on him and actually giving them significant playing time. And they're winning, right? They're a team that's on an upward trajectory. So I don't see any reason why he would really leave unless we're going to drop a stupid offer, which I doubt we do.
Yeah, I agree. But that's also why we drafted. In our mock drafts, we would always try to focus. I know Severe took a couple edge rushers in our mock drafts, and we only did 3. But around that 3rd or 4th round, wanted to prioritize an edge rusher just in case Malcolm Kuntz wasn't 110%. Yeah. And I know one guy I drafted, and Severe, you drafted one of your mocks, was your boy out of UCLA.
Yeah.
And he looked good with the Titans.
Yeah, Femi, yeah.
He looked good against us, but he got hurt, man. If he didn't get hurt, bro, he would have mopped us up, which doesn't say much. We have bad offensive line, but
exactly,
but he had a good rookie season. But John, appreciate the super chat. All right, let's do this. LS, man, you're saying is Alec Pierce better red zone target than Alice?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's all I can think about when
name.
when I saw that lineman, was that lineman that caught that was it Green Bay that caught that pass? Who was it that caught they caught that pass? All I could think of was Thayer. I was like, man, Thayer somewhere socking air right now. He is punching air, mad that should have been him. That should have been him.
Okay, here's
That
the
big
thing.
boy was moving. That big boy was moving. Yeah, he had that thing tucked. He was toting that rock. He tried a little too much. He got a little too. He put a little too much sauce on his nugget, but he was toting that rock though. Too much too much dip on his chip.
Here's one thing. Raider Outlaw, you said unfortunately Tom is not going to walk away with $300 million. It sucks. Yeah, he won't. But this is going to be on his name if this doesn't work out. At least 50% of it. But I agree with you. So you remember when we Sweet Feet, Darren Mumford. You guys know we booked on Game Film last year, and good old Luke Getzey had Darren Mumford lined up at receiver, and it happened 2 times, 2 plays in a row, and we saw the Sweet Feet at Darren Mumford, right?
Clean.
I got to put a little bit. I have seen it now 3 times this season where other offensive coordinators are putting linemen out at receiver, and they're going out, and like you're just talking about, and I think this might be the same guy where I saw it. I think it was yesterday. I saw the offensive tackle going out for a pass like he was going to actually catch the pass.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, okay. So maybe giving Luke Getzey that much shit was a little unwarranted because got him a lot of shit. So maybe some off. And I did see earlier, I want to say earlier in the season where, what's his name? Dan Campbell did it. I don't know whoever's calling his offense at the time. Maybe that's why the guy was fired. But I've seen some offensive coordinators doing it.
It was Dan Campbell.
Was it? I don't know. So it's like maybe we'll put a little. Maybe the shit talking was a little rough for Luke Getzey. But yeah, look, we're gonna shut this thing down, man. We've been on here for 2 hours and 45 minutes. We appreciate it, buddy. Moon over Miami. I appreciate you. Yes, if you guys can double tap that screen or hit the like button, depending on what screen you're watching on. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical. If you're on the horizontal, you can hit the like button, hit the sub button if you guys appreciate what we're talking about. Again, I know we kind of went back and forth with Fernando. What's going to be really good is that we are going to break down the game film, and usually we show damn near 40, 50 plays of the game prior to. We're going to show a shit ton of plays of Fernando. We're going to take one full live and just break down his game. And if it becomes too much, we might break it into 2 separate lives because at the end of the day, there's a damn good chance, again, if you're a betting man, Fernando's going to be that number 1 overall draft pick. Yeah. And so let's do our homework. Let's just kind of see what does he bring. Look at all of the good things that he does because there's a lot. But are there some question marks and how does it translate to the NFL? We'll definitely break that thing down. And so we appreciate everybody rocking. Before you get out, double tap that screen, hit that like button. LS, I would love to see JPJ at fullback for a snap. As long as it's not JJ Pegues, we're going to be perfectly fine. All right. I get those 2 pictures. But appreciate everybody, man. Just break it down and live review it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to break it completely down live so everybody can give us our feedback and we have fun doing it. So appreciate everybody, man. We're going to be live on Wednesday. Before we get out, man, Severe, let everybody know what you got going on. It's the start of the week.
Yeah, man, you guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, X, IG. Basically, everywhere the Severe Raider. Well, my guys, Chris from Protect the Shield, 805 Raider, Sunday and Wednesdays in the Raider War Room. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays with Pharaoh NFL with a 50-50 show and Around the Shield. So, yeah, tap in, man. Guys, stay tuned for this film breakdown, man. We're going to go down the top prospects. You guys do not want to miss that. It's going to be very educational, very informative, and it might change your mind on some guys, right? Some guys that you thought you might have liked. Maybe you walk away with a little bit of a different perspective on them. So, man, make sure y'all hit those like buttons, hit those notification bells so you don't miss any of our videos, and hype the video. And if you can't get if you weren't able to be a part of the conversation here and in the live chat, make sure y'all hit us in the comments.
100%. John Parker, real quick, said just let me know what coach you would like to see. My number 1's Clint Kubiak. Severe, what's your number 1?
Michael LaFleur.
So that's our top guys. Obviously, we have guys ranked out, but that's definitely our top. That's when you and Raider Way going to go at it again. That was good. That was a good live, man. I tapped in for that.
Raider still recovering. He's still recovering.
And oh shit, my bad. I gotta click the wrong thing. John, I'm sorry I missed the show, guys. It's just getting off of work. Hey, man, work becomes first. You know what I'm saying? So, but shout out to you, man. I appreciate you popping in. But guys, if you don't know, I'm 805 Raider. My channel is Real Talk Raider Nation. Definitely tap with us. We do a sub-only chat show. Appreciation to our subscribers. We appreciate all the members, the super chats, everything. We appreciate the subscribers. One thing, if you do become a member, then you can throw us suggestions on who you'd want us to possibly break down the game film. We'll put those up on the priority and kind of put the names together and just kind of see who we can get to. But definitely tap over for that, because we got a lot of free agents that we're going to look at. We also got a lot of college prospects, and it gives you the opportunity. If you disagree with us, then look, like Severe said, we might change your mind, but you might change ours at the same time. Yeah. You might point something out that I missed or we missed. And at the end of the day, this is why we do it live, so we have fun. So appreciate y'all, man. Definitely double tap that screen, hit that notification bell. Not only after this, go over to Chris Protect Shield Podcast. He rocks with us as well. Also, if you're going to Pittsburgh, if you're going to be in Pittsburgh for the draft, we're putting the plans together. We're going to try to make it out there. And if we can put names to face, it would be awesome. So let us know. Hit us up on our social media handles if you're going to be out there. We'll definitely have some fun. So, guys, hey, have a great start to your week. We appreciate all y'all popping in. We'll see you on the next one. We're out of here.